I'm Sfiso Zulu. An organized crime police officer has struggled to explain to the Madlanga Commission why he shared confidential SAPS documents with civilians. Sergeant Fanny Nkosi appeared before the inquiry yesterday, where he was questioned about his relationship with some controversial businessmen. Nkosi has been accused of being the middleman between the questionable characters and senior police officials. Thabiso Goba reports.
In March 2024, an internal audit report was prepared at SAPS and recommended the service cancel its multi-million rand tender with a company owned by controversial businessman Vusimuzi Kat Matlala. Despite the report being labelled confidential, Sergeant Fanny Nkosi shared it with Matlala and another controversial businessman, Steve Motsumi. Nkosi says the report was already public as he saw it on Facebook. However, Co-Commissioner Sandile Khumalo did not buy this explanation.
Do you accept that it was wrong to send a SAPS document to somebody outside of SAPS? That's my simple question.
Can we pack that one?
No, I don't want to pack it.
I'm begging you.
No, I don't want to pack it. I want you to answer me.
Nkosi says he, quote, doesn't know whether sharing confidential information with civilians is wrong. He returns to the witness stand today. Thabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
The NPA says there's overwhelming evidence that justifies its decision to oppose the release of the man who allegedly murdered a key witness at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Marius van der Merwe, who testified at the commission as witness D, was shot dead outside his Brakpan home in December. His alleged shooter, Mati Pandile Soteni, made his first appearance in court yesterday following his arrest over the weekend. He is expected to return to court for a formal bail application next Wednesday. Alfara Mushwana reports.
Mati Pandile Soteni is facing a Schedule 6 offence with the charges including premeditated murder, attempted murder, conspiracy to murder and possession of unlicensed ammunition. NPA spokesperson Lumka Mahanjana says this is enough justification to oppose Soteni's release on bail.
Because of the seriousness of the crime. And you must remember that investigations will lead us to other aspects because we still need to get his criminal profile.
Police spokesperson Athlenda Mate has echoed the sentiment.
And I think as the SAPS as well, we will support the NPA in opposing bail because we do believe that he's quite lethal. We trained them for the sole purpose of serving and protecting the people of this country, not to now use the skill to murder people and get involved in such heinous crimes.
One other suspect believed to be involved in witness D's murder is still on the run, while another died by suicide after being implicated at the Madlanga Commission. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News in Brakpan.
Lawyers representing former President Jacob Zuma have told the High Court in Johannesburg that TRC inquiry chairperson Judge Sisi Gampepe acted irrationally when she dismissed a recusal application on the basis of alleged delays. Advocate Dalimpofu, representing Zuma, argues that the commission exaggerated timelines after claiming Zuma delayed proceedings for 8 months before bringing the application. Zuma, together with former President Jacob Thabo Mbeki, wants the court to remove Gampepe as chair of the committee after she refused to recuse herself.
It was illegal, unreasonable and irrational for the commissioner, knowing what she knows, having been the one who granted us the extension, being the one who granted us the directives, and we acted according to her directive, to suddenly say, oh no, but you had 9 months or 8 months or whatever. Nobody who has read these papers can come to that conclusion.
And European powers have rejected U.S. President Donald Trump's call to help open the Strait of Hormuz, saying they will not be drawn into a wider war. Trump threatened his NATO allies, saying they face a very bad future if members fail to reopen the vital waterway, which normally carries a fifth of global crude oil. Global oil prices have surged by 40 to 50% as Iran attacks shipping in retaliation for the war launched by the U.S. and Israel on the 28th of February. Australia, Poland, Spain, Greece and Sweden have distanced themselves from any military involvement in the strait. Germany also says it has always been clear that this war is not a matter for NATO. But Britain's Prime Minister Keir Starmer says there's a viable plan on the cards.
We are working with others to come up with a credible plan for the Straits of Hormuz to ensure that we can reopen shipping and passage through the strait. Let me be clear, that won't be, and it's never been envisaged to be, a NATO mission. That'll have to be an alliance of partners, which is why we're working with partners both in Europe in the Gulf and with the US.
Trump says he knew Britain and France would get involved in efforts to secure the Strait of Hormuz, but only reluctantly.
We have the strongest military by far in the world. We don't need them. But it's interesting. I'm almost doing it in some cases, not because we need them, but because I want to find out how they react. Because I've been saying for years that if we ever did need them, they won't be there. Not all of them, but...
Gold is trading at $5,029.57 an ounce. The rand is at 16.70 to the dollar, 22.22 to the pound, 19.20 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $103.05 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the Mike 1 North. This is between Boyson's Road and the double-decker section. There's also queuing traffic in the city of Tshwane along the R80 East Mabopane Highway, just as you approach Eskiampahlele Drive.
And in your sport, the Proteas women have the upper hand against New Zealand in the second T20, chasing 178. New Zealand are 4 wickets down, needing 103 from 71. South African coach Rulani Mokoena detained in Algeria for violating that country's currency regulations. And Wolves twice came from a goal down to hold Brentford 2-2 in last night's Premier League action.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with scattered showers and thundershowers expected. Johannesburg and Pretoria both starting at 15 degrees, peaking at 26 for Inheng, 14 and 25. The top story in EWN this hour. An organised crime police official has struggled to explain to the Madlanga Commission why he shared confidential SAPS documents with civilians.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
7 minutes after 6 o'clock. My name indeed is Bongani Bingwa. My big thanks to Stephen Curtis for taking the hot seat yesterday at the very last minute. I'll explain in a moment or so as to why I wasn't around yesterday, but I think it's an experience many South Africans have to contend with all around the country. But on the show this morning, we're going to be speaking to Professor Vali Padiachi, who's a power and energy expert. He's a former executive manager at Eskom. We're going to be talking about the oil volatility. You may remember, of course, we spoke to the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy just a couple of days ago, and they were assuring us that we've got enough reserves, everything is going to be a-okay. Is that still the picture, or can we expect to be hit hard at the pumps in the next month or so? And then a man has been charged for the murder of Witness D from the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. He is an expert marksman, a sniper, an elite sniper trained by the police. Over R1 million went into teaching him his bag of tricks. He's about as good as you can get. Yesterday, in the dock, we're going to catch up to the police, or with the police, about how one of their own was caught up in this mess. And is that an indication to you that we're beginning to turn the corner? The police are able to find these guys even when they're among their own ranks.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
We're also speaking to, or at least we're speaking to NERSA. Yes, this is the National Energy Regulator for South Africa. This is around the electricity hikes. You're going to pay a lot more to keep that heater burning over this winter. And then we speak to the great Nduduzo Makhathini, who's a pianist, composer, and educator, just before 9 o'clock about a night of transcendental jazz. Transcendental jazz.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
702 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
9 minutes after 6. I'm not alone, of course, as always. An entire team with me on the show this morning. Amoramila, let me greet you first and say hello.
Good morning, Bongani, and welcome back.
Did you miss me?
I did. I did miss you.
You better.
How else do you expect her to answer that question?
Was she looking charmingly at Stephen yesterday?
Yeah, she was. As she does to you.
I feel betrayed.
Oh,
I
okay.
thought it's only reserved for me. Muteo, good morning.
Not jealous at all.
Muteo, good morning.
Good morning,
Were
Bongs.
you looking charmingly at Stephen?
I was.
With friends like these.
Collegially.
Yeah, no, I could make jokes. But I won't. It's 10 minutes after 6 o'clock. I've got a question for the two of you. Our shout out this morning is very simply this. What practice, tradition, or custom have you encountered in your life that really, really surprised you? One that you thought, this would be difficult to do. Or it's just so foreign to you. You were surprised. People do what? So either through maybe a relationship with a colleague, a friend, even marriage, or through travel to a different country, travel abroad. You came across a practice and then you just thought, what? Wow, these people are different. Shall I go first?
Yeah,
give
sure.
you an idea?
Sure.
So I'm a 22-year-old at this point. This is in my pastor days, right? And I'm meant to be looking after this couple who was significantly older than I was. And she was a high-flying executive. And the guy was a blue-collar worker. But, he earned well, but she was essentially the person on whom they depended financially in the house. And I'll tell you why that detail matters. Long short, I'm there, we're having a counseling, a pastoral session with the husband. And then at some point, of course, it's dinner time. And the wife comes to bring dinner to us. Firstly, she brings a bowl of hot water so we may wash our hands. And, there's a cloth to dry our hands. And then she brings us the food. But as she does this, in any of her interactions with us, she has to go on her knees. And this is a high-flying executive, very senior job where she worked. She worked for a major financial institution. And again, my tradition places a lot of primacy on seniority by age. So if somebody's much older than you, you're the one who is to show respect. And there she was, a woman very close to being old enough to being my mother, on her knees serving me dinner and whatever, drinks or whatever there was to be consumed. She had to do so on her knees because their tradition emphasized that even though she was this high-flying executive, an important person at work, but in that home, he was the king and he was to be bowed to. I felt so uncomfortable. I was so uncomfortable. And of course, I couldn't say anything. Couldn't do anything. But I was so uncomfortable. Have you had such a moment, such an encounter, Muteo?
I moved to Turkey late 2018. 2019, mid-February is the beginning of Ramadan. Now, I am accustomed to Ramadan. I know about it. I'm South African. There are many different South Africans. But in the newsroom, as you would know, normally you eat at your desk. Now, it's a time of fasting, and 90% of the population in Turkey is Muslim, right? So they're going through Ramadan, and I buy the most scrumptious chicken sandwich you can ever think of with chips, and I walk into the newsroom with this thing, and I'm just wolfing it down.
At your desk.
Without considering not a single anybody.
As you would.
And somebody tells me on my shoulder and says, dude, it's Ramadan. And right there and there, as I turn back, I'm just like, oh man.
How to make an entrance?
Oh, I left sheepishly, obviously.
How to make an
enjoy
entrance?
my lunch outside, but I never made that mistake again, and I became more accustomed to my environment. And
I hope you fasted after that.
Yes, I did. I did.
It's the only way to come back from that. Yes, go finish it that day outside. Tomorrow you're fasting. Amo?
Well, we are Setswana speaking, right? But we are from Soweto, born and bred. And my friend, my very close friend, is also Setswana speaking, also from Soweto. But she has family in Botswana. And on that particular day, I went to visit her. She had a niece, or nephew rather, visiting from Botswana. And what he did to me, so he was greeting everybody in the house. It was like normal kind of greeting. But when he came to me, he bowed, right? And then I asked my friend, why is he bowing? And then my friend said, no, it's because he's meeting you for the first time. So it's a sign of endearment, a sign of respect, and a sign of I don't know what to call it, but just when you meet somebody who's a close family member or a family member or a friend, that's what you do to show them that they are welcome in your space and in your. I was so honored. I thought that was really beautiful.
Oh, okay. All right. I felt awkward. She was honored. It's 6:15.
Let's walk the talk.
7:02.
Do want to bring you up to speed, of course, with all that is happening around us, including the Oscar Awards. I don't know how keenly you watched the ceremony. It was televised live at around, well, it was already over, I think, by this time yesterday morning, but you could watch it also in the evening yesterday. And in case you missed all of the dramas, I was so excited. I was so excited because I wanted Michael B. Jordan to walk away with the leading actor statue. He was up against a formidable lineup that included, I think, Leo DiCaprio was nominated in that same category, and one Timothée Chalamet, who just weeks ago went on some television program and talked about how ballet and opera were art forms nobody was watching and didn't care about, and has received tremendous backlash for that. And so, if for no other reason, I wanted it to be Michael B. Jordan, and it was.
Oh, man, y'all. I stand here because of the people that came before me. Sidney Poitier, Denzel Washington, Halle Berry, Jamie Foxx, Forrest Whitaker, Will Smith, and to be amongst those giants, amongst those greats, amongst my ancestors, amongst my guys. Thank you, everybody in this room and everybody at home for supporting me over my career. I feel it. I know you guys want me to do well, and I want to do that because you guys bet on me. So thank you for keep betting on me, and I'm gonna keep stepping up. And I'm going to keep being the best version of myself I could be. So I just want to say thank you for everybody in this room that had something to do with my success. I love you guys. And everybody at home who supported Sinners, who went to go see the movie once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times. Thank you. Because you guys made this movie what it is. I love you. I love you. I love you.
He won, of course, for the horror film Sinners, which is absolutely fantastic. And in that movie, he plays the role of 2 brothers who are twins, identical twins. And there are all sorts of things that he did apparently for the role. For instance, he wore a shoe with a higher heel for the one twin. He would do all sorts of things to try and create subtle little differences between the 2 characters that he was playing. He was absolutely amazing.
Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
You're keeping an eye on the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry and all the going-ons there. Yesterday, it was absolutely extraordinary when we watched one Sergeant Nkosi, of course, who was testifying before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. At issue was the arrest of the controversial blogger, and I'll use that expression to be kind to him, Musa Kaula, who's a gossip content creator, really. That's what it is, right? Not a columnist, but a gossip content creator. I think is an absolutely awful human being in terms of the things he writes about other people. But nonetheless, he was arrested, of course, if you remember, because he said, again, some gossip about the Secretary General of the ANC. And part of how that arrest happened was getting his information. And so Sergeant Nkosi, who was before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry yesterday, being asked about how it is he obtained the information of Musa Kaula, and it emerged that it was an SABC journalist who had shared the number of the controversial blogger. And he was questioned then as to how he, Sergeant Nkosi, knew this journalist.
You say you know her. In what capacity do you know her?
She used to be a student in TUT, and I know her from there.
Well, my question really is, do you know her, you as a police officer, or socially is the kind of distinction I'm looking for?
No, just as a civilian, not as a police officer. I knew her even before I was a police officer.
Did you pay her for this information?
Can you repeat that message?
Did you pay her for this information?
No.
Are you sure about that answer? Are you sure about that answer?
I'm sure about the answer.
Did you pay her is the question. Are you sure about that answer? At one point, I mean, of course, we have to truncate these things. At one point, he's fumbling through papers to make sure that, he knows exactly what he is talking about. And then, of course, he is asked about whether or not he is certain about the answer he gives as far as the payment is concerned, because the commissioners say, we will at some point go through your WhatsApps and make sure you are telling us the truth. So tomorrow we'll make absolutely certain that what you are saying is indeed what happened.
Why did you hesitate?
The way he's asking, this gives me doubt on.
You see, we haven't given you your chats with Natasha SABC, so I won't put anything to you, but I'd invite you to go back and look at your chats with Natasha SABC and see if you did pay her.
What page is that, Commissioner?
I don't want to confront you with materials that we haven't given you, but I would invite you to look at your chats with Natasha SABC presenter to see if you did pay her for this information or not, and we can maybe go there tomorrow.
So, do you think you paid her?
702.
More than a radio station.
Let's walk the
Mutel, you've got a question of your own?
Yeah, I want to know from you and the rest of the 702 landers, what are you generous with, especially when you're happy?
Ooh, my time.
You'll give
my time.
Your day.
I'm going to host you. We're going to hang out. I'm going to cook for you. I want to spend time with you. You must know I'm in a good space.
Amu, when you're happy?
Money.
Money?
Yeah.
Are you happy
generous
now?
With money.
She hasn't been happy in a long time. Because we ain't seen no money.
702.
Weather.
I'm so curious about what prompts that question. 22 after 6, Gauteng, a cloudy day today. Some showers and thunder showers expected. Temperatures peaking at 26 degrees in Johannesburg. That's the same high for Pretoria. 25 for Enige. Bombela maxes at 26 degrees. Bloemfontein 30. Durban 29. Gqeberha 28. That's the same for East London. And Cape Town maxes at 34.
EWN traffic.
Let's have a first look at the roads. This EWN traffic brought to you by Ford. Live at your peak in the Ford Everest. Amo?
Well, Bongani, we off to a busy start this morning. We've got roadworks that are taking place in Germiston along the N3 North. They are causing heavy traffic volumes coming out of the Elands interchange. Please be on the lookout there. And it's already queuing traffic on the N12 West towards Bedford View. There's also still moving traffic in Tshwane along the R80 East approaching Eskom Pahlele exit. I'll have more traffic updates coming up. But if you see anything else, we're on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
One river crossing, 6 drive modes. In your Ford Everest, it's not a challenge, it's a flex. That's peak living in the Ford Everest Platinum from $13,999 per month with 10% deposit required when financed through Ford Credit, a registered financial services and credit provider. Includes our Ford Family Promise with online service booking, so admin is sorted in just a click. 6% variable interest rate, 40% residual, 72 months to pay. Risk profile dependent. Visit your nearest Ford dealer today. T&Cs apply.
702.
Add your voice.
Have your say.
Let's walk the talk.
Bongani, each and every day watching the Madlanga Commission, listening to the guys, I cringe. I welt my pants thinking that the men of law and order are so deeply entrenched in the corrupt activities. I always ask myself, how deep is the corruption and how deep are we in the mess we are at? And what about us ordinary citizens? It's really, really scary. I won't lie to you. It's scary to me in the future of the country and mostly our kids, Andile and Breakendowns. Thank you.
Sometimes I don't know if they're corrupt or just not as clever as they think they are. Because yesterday we were hearing from Gos who kept asking the commissioners, I didn't hear that. Please repeat that. Then at some point there was some debate about his nickname. He's apparently known as 007. But he refused to say that at the commission yesterday. And then at some point he says, no, it's because the evidence leader, Advocate Chaskelson, had said 007 James Bond has a license to kill. And he doesn't want to be associated with that. And then he's asked, do you know who 007 is? You know that it's James Bond, right? Do you know who James Bond is? He says, yes, he's an actor.
Start your day with Bongani Bingwa
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
25 after 6, things you need to know at this hour. If you live in Alexandra, have a listen to this. Joburg Mayor has pleaded with residents to please stop throwing out your bathwater onto the street. That's the appeal of Dada Morero, the mayor of Johannesburg. He was speaking at a church service in Alex on Sunday, and he says wastewater, particularly from baths, is being thrown down the roads and streets of Alex, and therefore it's damaging the roads, you see? That's the reason for all the bad roads and the potholes in Alex, is because of all your bathwater. Huh? Mateo? No words.
No, I'm thinking about what he's saying. In Alex, where the piping systems are great, right?
So where must they throw their bathwater? What pipes? And is that the reason for Alex's bad roads? Bathwater? Ay, ay, ay. Cuba is experiencing a nationwide blackout. If you thought load shedding was bad, the entire country's national grid has collapsed and it's plunged the island into darkness. You remember, of course, there's been 3 months of an arms blockade by the US, and so they're no longer able to power up any part of their national grid. The US President Donald Trump says it's only a matter of time before he, quote unquote, takes Cuba. I'll play you that clip coming up. Yes or no? Where were you in 1992? On this day, white South Africans voted in that historic referendum, and the decision was, do we want to continue with the reforms to end apartheid, or do we want to go back? Nearly 69% of them voted in support of the reforms, and that, of course, eventually led to the vote of 1994, just 2 years later. Rolando Mokoena, beg your pardon, the coach, famous South African coach, was arrested, of course, in Algiers. This is in Algeria, for violating that country's customs rules. Essentially, he was walking or leaving the country with undeclared cash. That story you'll hear in the news. He has since been released, I understand, and it's the reason for our question. What customs or traditions have you encountered in a different country that you did not know? It's a little tricky to assume Rolando Mokoena wouldn't know the rules, but maybe he just thought it was his own cash and didn't need to declare it. But that was an interesting story. Janelle Monáe reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 on this day. In 2012, We Are Young by Fun. And of course, it featured Janelle, and the song became the first ever chart topper for both artists, staying there for 6 weeks.
702.
The newspapers.
Swiso Zulu, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Bongani. Welcome back. I have a chilling story out of the United States, which has ended with a guilty verdict for a mother in Utah who once wrote a children's book about grief after her husband's sudden death. Right? She's 35 years old. Her name is Kuri Richens, and she has been convicted of killing her husband, Eric Richens, by poisoning him with a drink laced with fentanyl. And prosecutors told the court that Richens had accumulated millions of dollars in debt, taken out life insurance policies on her husband, and was having an affair with another man. And in a disturbing twist, authorities say Eric Richens had earlier suspected that his wife was trying to poison him after he fell ill following a dinner on Valentine's Day. This was in 2022. He was then, 2 months after that, found dead in their home with 5 times the lethal dose of fentanyl in his system. And 2 months before her arrest, Richens had published a children's book saying, dedicated to her husband, saying it was meant to help families cope with loss. And now the prosecutors say the truth is far darker than that, claiming she wanted to leave her husband, but she did not want to leave his money.
Is the book called In Cold Blood?
EWN Business.
Mateo Kharipa, you want to know what's a sign we are happy? What are we most generous with when we're happy? What prompts the question?
Bongani, Sun International is really, really happy. Business is booming and its online casino business, Sunbet, is hitting the jackpot. The hospitality and gaming group announced a special dividend of 256 million for its shareholders. It had a solid financial performance and was pushed by online betting and steady results across its financial board. Now, the company said its performance reflects the strength of its diversified portfolio, which spans land-based casinos, online gambling, resorts, hotels, and limited payout machines. But Sunbet is really the crown jewel of the business. Sunbet more than doubled its earnings to 744 million rand, offsetting a slight drop in profit from its traditional brick-and-mortar casinos. On Monday, Sun International CEO Ulrich Bengtson told Currency that despite talks of imposing curbs or regulation on the online gambling market, odds are that it will double in size by 2030 to about 100 billion rand a year.
Does he want us to bet on that?
Of course he does. It makes all the profit.
Let's bet on the rand. Where is it?
The rand has been positive despite what's been going on, but quite flat this morning at 16 rand 70 against the US dollar, 19 rand 19 cents against the euro, and at 22 rand 20 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $5,028 an ounce, while platinum is at $2,151 an ounce, while Brent crude is now up more than 2% at $103 a barrel. More business after 7.
Right, back to Sfiso Zulu at the news desk. Let's talk about our power utility. Sfiso.
That's right, Bongani. Good morning. Eskom has reassured customers that subsidized tariffs for low-income and rural households will remain in place as the electricity price hike is set to kick in from next month. The utility says the average price for customers supplied directly by Eskom will increase by 8.76% as approved by the National Energy Regulator. Meanwhile, municipalities that buy power in bulk from Eskom are also expected to implement increases. Eskom spokesperson Daphne Mukwena.
Customers purchasing electricity from municipalities will need to await communication from their respective municipalities.
Action SA mayoral candidate for Joburg, Herman Mashaba, says he aims to carry out his 2016 plan to dismantle some of the city's entities in order to save money for the metro. Speaking on 702 last night, the former mayor said he noted that some of the organizations failed to deliver services. Mashaba says most of executives at these institutions were cadre deployments, something he intended to put to an end during his tenure.
I'm on record, unapologetically so, that given the mandate to be the mayor of the city of Johannesburg, this time around, the city entities like Joburg Water, City Power, pick it up. I'm going to dismantle them.
He says this will be one of his first tasks that he will do if he returns to the city's first office.
In the first sitting of council, or the second sitting of council, I'm going to bring in a report for the dissolution of these entities. They must be run by Section 56 managers appointed, obviously, through the process, are being approved by council. They report directly to the city manager. We don't need these boards whatsoever.
In Limpopo, rising water levels at rivers are disrupting access to several camps in the northern Kruger National Park. Parts of the province continue to experience flooding following days of heavy downpours. Zen Park says river levels have risen sharply with more rain forecast this week. Mongezi Goko reports.
The park says the area remains particularly vulnerable after heavy rains earlier this year that left river catchments saturated. While water levels at the Shingwedzi River continue to rise, management says it's not yet reached a point where evacuations of staff or visitors are necessary. However, park officials say they are closely monitoring the Shisha stream near Balabala and Sireni, which has overflowed onto the tar road. Several facilities in the northern parts of the park have been affected, including Punda Maria and Pafari Gates, as well as a number of bush camps. Sandpark says most gravel roads in the northern and central sections of the park are temporarily closed and visitors are urged to remain alert and follow road signage. The organization says it is continuing to monitor conditions as the safety of visitors, staff and infrastructure remains a priority. Monke Zikoko Eyewitness News.
And hundreds of people have reportedly been killed during an attack on a drug rehab center in Afghanistan. Officials are blaming neighboring Pakistan for the attack, but it denies that, saying it conducted precision strikes on military installations and terrorist support infrastructure. The Pakistani military has struck Kabul several times in recent weeks as part of a conflict sparked by claims that the Taliban government has harbored extremists who have carried out attacks across the border. Government says Pakistan has once again violated Afghan territory, calling the strikes a crime and an act of inhumanity. Long-running cross-border clashes between Afghanistan and Pakistan escalated in October last year, leaving dozens dead, but after subsiding, they resumed last month, with Pakistan describing the conflict as open war. A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng, with showers expected today. The temperatures are at lows of 14 and 15 degrees, peaking at highs between 25 and 26.
And in the traffic, we've got heavy traffic volumes on the N3 North between the Elands interchange and the Van Buren Road exit. An accident has been reported between these 2 points. Please be on the lookout there. And if you're traveling towards Bedfordview, queuing traffic already along the N12 as well as the R24 West between Edenvale Road and the Gilulis interchange.
The top story this hour: Eskom has reassured customers that subsidized tariffs for low-income and rural households will remain in place.
Part of the 702 family.
My name is Iwet Machinya Timbi. I like this station I've listened over the years since its inception. 702 is the best. There's no other radio station that can beat 702. Hala, hala, 702.
Welcome to our 702 family. Let's walk the talk.
Mzansi, are you ready to make it rain millions? Play Powerball and Powerball Plus for a jaw-dropping 145 million rand in total estimated jackpots this Tuesday, and you could win big. So play Powerball for 100 million rand and Powerball Plus for 45 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app or cell phone banking. Panda, push up, play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Let's hear from Al, owner of Johnson's Cable, why it pays to switch to OUTsurance Business Insurance.
I thought it was going to be difficult to switch to OUTsurance Business Insurance. Switching was so quick and easy. I'm happy with the premium that I'm paying now.
For electrical, tradesman services and all other businesses, get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to OUTsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
The family lunch. The big egg hunt. Nobody wants to be the one arriving late for the Easter festivities. That's why we at FlySafair make it our mission to get you to those special moments right when they count. And with affordable flights to 15 amazing destinations, there's really no excuse not to go. Hop to flysafair.co.za today and lock in those Easter flights early, because every bunny needs a break. FlySafair, for the love of flying.
At Chamberlain's, there's something for everyone. From building supplies for the home renovators to garden essentials for the homemakers. From power tools for the DIY doers to painting supplies for the patio Picassos. We even have coffee for the slightly sleepy and snacks for the young ones. And for the ones who can never quite find what they're looking for, we have you covered too. With our promise to find and source whatever you need. Chamberlain's, famous for hardware since 1903.
From bold ideas to businesses built from the ground up, South Africa's powered by what we make right here at home. This March, local takes center stage. The Buy Local Summit and Expo returns for its 14th year. Hosted by proudly South African, 16 to 17 March at the Sandton Convention Center. Catch the Clement Mangatela show live from the summit today for highlights, live updates, and more. Discover why localization is critical to SA's economic future. That's the Clement Mangatela show, live from the Buy Local Summit and Expo today. Brought to you by Proudly South African on 702.
Coming up in the next hour, what's the question? And it's brought to you by OUTsurance. Up to 3,000 Rand in cash is up for grabs. Send us an answer based on anything that piqued your interest during the show, and for that you win 1,000 Rand. WhatsApp us your name and the answer to 072 702 1702. Then later, someone else will ask a question to win 2,000 Rand. Now, you always stand a better chance of being selected if you've SMS'd out to Outsurance and got yourself a quote. So do it now. SMS out to 45142, and you could save on your car insurance.
702. WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Good morning, Bonks and the team. 702 Land. Mateo, I am generous with my time. Yes, I'll cry for you and I'm happy. I'll buy you gifts. I'll take you on a holiday. Bona, I'll shower you with countless blessings. Yeah, I'm magnanimous like that. Joel from Kempton Park, have a splendid Tuesday.
Joel from Kempton Park, make the circle bigger, right? Cindy Paluta is in the studio this morning. Cindy, a very good morning to you. How do you show your happiness? I mean, what do you do? How are you generous when you are happy? What are you generous with?
Is this are we saying like your time or like
so if Amma says money.
So if I've
said time.
Yeah. So if I am in a very happy mood, I will do anything for you.
Can
like
ask
there
you
I am,
anything.
like volunteering for 12-hour shifts at the school and that kind of stuff. So if I'm in a very happy mood, it's always a good time to ask me for anything. And 9 times out of 10, I have to say, "Oh, you're gonna be that." So it's exactly that. It's giving off time, right? So I go, "Oh, you're gonna ask to do this, but you're not gonna be happy in 3 days' time when you have to do it."
Well, can we ask you one thing?
Absolutely.
Tell us what's happening in the world of sport.
EWN Sport.
Coming up, of course, on 702, we're going to be looking at how one breakthrough idea, unconventional thinking, reshaped the world and delivered better outcomes. This is in our Black Sheep Thinking series, powered by Camisa Asset Management. Invest differently. Camisa Asset Management is a licensed FSP.
So the Proteas women are now 1 wicket away from beating New Zealand in the second T20 and levelling the series. So earlier they posted 177 for 5. Brits with 53, Wolfart unbeaten on 41 and Liss with 31. New Zealand are now 151 for 9. They need 27 runs from 9 balls for victory. Off the field, Danefa Nekirk picking up an injury. She's out for the rest of the series. After this game, the men's match with New Zealand starts at 8:15. Jordan Herman out of the series as well. He's got a hamstring injury. New Zealand don't have spinner Sodi. He's been ruled out with a broken thumb. South African coach Rulani Mokoena was arrested in Algeria, detained and received a 2-month suspended prison sentence after he was found guilty for attempting to take a foreign currency out of that country. Mokoena was on his way to Libya to start a new job at Al Ittihad Tripoli following his resignation from MC Alger. Premier League last night, Wolves twice fighting from a goal down to draw with Brentford 2-2. Brentford missing the chance to go within a point of Chelsea. Mamelodi Sundowns have a chance to go back top of the Premiership tonight. They're playing Marumagaland, where a win would put them 2 points clear of Pirates at the top of the table. And in the Champions League tonight, Real Madrid, PSG and Bodo Glimt all have 3-goal advantages going into their games tonight against Manchester City, Chelsea and Sporting. The only game tonight level on aggregate is Arsenal's game with Bayer Leverkusen. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
The brainy kids of the Whiz Quiz
on 702.
My name is Ntombi Sota. I am 13 years old. I go to Michakasi Secondary School. And when I grow up, I want to be a pilot. And I would like to play Whiz Quiz with Uncle Bongani.
How high can you fly? As high as 10,000 Rand? Let's find out.
702.
Coming up at 7:15, the big interview.
EWN.
17 to 7, the CWN traffic brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Why are there delays in, is it the more east part, N3 North?
Yes, that's correct. Well, Bongani, an accident reported right near Van Buren Road. Delays coming out of the Elands interchange, and there's also roadworks along the same route, so please be patient if you're traveling here. And then there's also queuing traffic reported on the N1 North between the Soweto Highway and the Albertina Sisulu Road off-ramp. This is due to peak time delays. Please drive with care. There's also peak time pressure reported in the city of Tshwane along the R80 East between the Hairpin Bend and and Eskiam Patlele Drive. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You know that feeling when your flight gets upgraded? Well, that's how good it feels to see OUTsurance pointsmen on your route. Everyone feels the difference when they're on the roads because they've been easing traffic congestion, so we all get to where we need to be quickly and safely for the last 20 years. With OUTsurance, you really always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, OUTsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
On the go and your stomach suddenly not keeping up, that burn, bloating, or reflux could be symptoms of an ulcer. Stress can make it feel even worse. Ulcenic offers triple action relief by coating your stomach lining with a protective layer and works up to 6 hours. No prescription is needed. You can choose between suspension, tablets, or the effervescent tablets. Keep an eye on the shelf for Ulcenic's new packaging. A fresh new look outside, same trusted relief on the inside. Visit the Ulcenic Facebook page for more.
Smart Steve from Momentum. Hello.
Stevie, it's Clinton Myers, the Minister of National Treasures.
Mr. Minister, how can Momentum Insure help you?
This economy is not helping with the cost of my gusheshe, my tires, man.
Just get Momentum Insure's safety returns and get up to 30% cash back, even if you claim.
Is it true?
Stru's Bob, Mr. Minister. Visit momentum.co.za or call 0860 006 784. Momentum Insure, keeping you safe on your journey to success. Momentum Insure is an authorized non-life insurer. T's and C's apply.
Hi, this is Teko Modise, Hollywood Bet's brand ambassador. Be a winner who knows when it's time for a timeout and play responsibly. If you or someone you know needs help, call the South African Responsible Gambling Toll-Free Counseling Line on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No person under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop.
John Perlman. Weekday afternoons,
3 to 6. Let me be clear about this element of it. You've got Dada Morero as the mayor. You've got as his deputy the person whose triumph over him in an ANC electoral process he is now taking to court. And the two of them are meant to work together to improve a city in desperate need of improving. Have I got that right?
You have that very right. And we already see the outcome of that fight because the city wasn't able to pass an adjustment budget last week. A really important adjustment budget.
John Perlman.
3 to 6 on 702.
702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman is proudly brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
702. WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Morning, Bongani. So I think I'm definitely generous with my money. I'm generous with money when I'm happy, and treats, and I'd say, oh, let me treat you out or whatever, lunch, date, dinner. Yeah. My son says I'm generous with my clothes. I think he's also right. Actually, in retrospect, if I'm happy and somebody's at my house, I will definitely give them some of my clothes before they leave.
We like it when you're happy. What are you generous with when you're happy? Mutero wanted to know. Are you more caring? Are you generous with your time? Do you even give away money? Let us know.
Good morning, Bongs. Slymo here. I don't know these mayors if they do go around auctions and look and before they comment and have a look at what's happening in the locations. Because what Dada Morero saying is absolutely shocking.
Dada Morero. By the way, I mean, there's contestation now as to whether or not he is going to stay as mayor. If he leaves, he's going to be the 10th mayor since Pakistau started in 2011. So for the last 16 years, he'll be the 10th guy wearing the mayoral chains in Johannesburg. He has spoken, and in fact, he says nobody's told him he is going to be recalled. So the ANC hasn't told him directly that he's going to be recalled. He's only seeing this as media reports. And I wonder if you'd even notice if Dada Morero was gone. Would it make any difference to you if he stays or if he goes?
Well, I'm like you. I saw it in the social media space. No formal communication has come through me as the deployee of the ANC. If there's any decision of that nature, then the responsibility and the honors are on the leadership to engage with its deployee. However, I must indicate that we are focused on the work. We must ensure that we deliver on the commitments we have made. And as the executive mayor, I've got a responsibility to continue my work.
Well, Dada Morero saying as far as he's concerned, he's staying in the job. And one of the things he cares a lot about are the residents of Alex and their infrastructure challenges. He says, please, please, man, would you, if you live in Alex, stop throwing out your bathwater onto the streets? You're damaging the roads. Never mind that for many residents, their water is not piped. So where must they throw it out? When last did he go to Alex, I wonder?
Who is the whizziest of them all?
It's the Whiz Quiz on 702.
Right, let's give away some cash, shall we? Let's play today with Ntombi Zodwa, who is 13 years old. Remember, you must be aged 10 to 13 to play. I've got 10 questions. I need 10 correct answers in 60 seconds. And if you can do that, I will give you 10,000 Rand. Otherwise, it's $100 for each correct answer. Ntombi Zodwa, you want to be a pilot, do you?
Yes.
All right, how high can you fly? That's the question. Let's see. KG, start the clock. Give the present tense of the word bought.
Bye.
Correct. What is 9 times 9?
Pass.
81. Which large human organ is the body's complex control center?
Pass.
It's the brain. True or false? The eland is the largest antelope in South Africa.
True.
Correct. In which sport would contestants use sabers and foils? Is it fencing or cricket?
Fencing.
Fencing. Which animal is on a South African 50 Rand note?
Rhino.
It's the lion. Which continent has no countries or capitals? Antarctica is the answer we were looking for there. Rough one for you, Ntombi Zodwa. 300 Rand is what you walk away with. Remember, it's 100 Rand for each correct answer. 10,000 if you can get all 10 correct.
The brainy kids of the Whiz Quiz
on 702. This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Black Sheep Thinking, powered by Camisa Asset Management. Invest differently. Better for investors for over 20 years. Camisa Asset Management is a licensed financial services provider. We'll be looking, of course, at breakthrough ideas that sometimes look wrong, at least in the beginning. The idea is to challenge long-held assumptions and step away from consensus, to test popular thinking and to test conviction. That's the power of Black Sheep Thinking. For over 20 years, Camisa Asset Management has invested differently, looking up and far ahead. So each week on 702 Breakfast on Tuesday, we bring you more of our Black Sheep Thinking ideas powered by Camisa Asset Management. Today, we are talking the world of medicine. In the 19th century in Europe, particularly around the 1850s, many expectant mothers were dying at terrifying rates from childbirth. Women who went in to deliver babies in hospitals, going in perfectly healthy, would sometimes not survive, or sometimes it would be their babies that would die. Doctors blamed bad air, They blamed fate, or sometimes they said it was the fault of the women themselves. And then a doctor, Ignaz Schemmelweis, noticed that doctors were practicing something he thought was odd. They would perform autopsies in one part of the hospitals and then proceed to go help these women give birth. And he noticed that maybe one of the things they ought to do is wash their hands. The mortality rates dropped fast. But the doctors would not believe him. Have a listen.
In the mid-19th century, Ignaz Semmelweis, who was a doctor in Vienna, he was very frustrated by the situation where healthy women would go into the hospital to have a baby, and almost 1 out of 5 of them died from childbed fever. What was going on there? And he discovered that what doctors were doing was that they would perform autopsies in one part of the hospital and then run to deliver babies in a ward next door without washing hands in between. Once he figured that out and he asked doctors and medical students to practice hand hygiene, the death rate dropped from 18% to about 1%. It was very dramatic improvement. And yet he met with so much resistance. The medical community really didn't want to change, which is shocking, right? But, you know, if you try to go against authority and convention, you can run into and make some enemies.
What was the problem? Germ theory did not yet exist. And so many of the doctors did not believe what Semmelweis had told them about the washing of hands. In fact, he grew so frustrated with many of these doctors, he wrote angry letters accusing them of being murderers. And for that tone, he was shunned by his entire profession. He lost his post in Vienna, eventually ending up in Budapest, and following years of rejection and watching patients continue to die from preventable illness, it eventually took a toll on his mental health. But we look back now, and of course, he was absolutely right. By the way, that clip there from Professor Miriam Varnum, who is a professor of biology. Investment markets, herding happens, leading to crowded optimism or pessimism. Prices pushed too far up or down. At Camisa, they invest differently, and that's the power of black sheep thinking.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
7:02 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
On to this now. We've been concerned about the situation in the Middle East and what it's going to mean for motorists at the pumps. Just days ago, we spoke to the Department of Mineral and Petroleum Resources and the Automobile Association, and we're just getting an update from that. Our guest is Professor Vali Padiachi, who is an energy expert and who joins us now on the line. A very good morning to you, Prof, and thank you for your time.
Good morning, Bongani, and I'm glad to be back on your show. My pleasure.
No less than the Minister, Gwede Mantashe, this is the Minerals and Energy Resources Minister, warning that we may indeed at some point face fuel shortages. He says, of course, there's no immediate risk at this point, but what are motorists likely to expect, especially in the month of April?
Well, maybe just to keep it simple, Bongani, the Middle East situation is volatile at the moment. We don't know when it's going to end. So with that as a backdrop, and of course, coupled with that, the WTI and the Brent crude has gone through the roof. I mean, if you look at Brent crude, it's over $100 per barrel at the moment. So to answer your question, with that as a backdrop, if the war, well, some of them are calling it a war, the conflict ends in the next few days, the prices could still be contained, albeit it'll be quite high. So for April, we could be expecting increased prices going forward. But if the conflict continues, Bongani, for another couple of weeks or even longer, I think the prices are going to shoot through the roof.
What does shoot through the roof look like?
Well, it's difficult to say because it will be predicated on the Brent crude.
Sure, all those
index
factors notwithstanding, Prof, what's a worst case scenario?
Well, it's difficult to say. The worst case scenario could be 50% to 75% more than what we're paying at the moment. I could be wrong because, as you know, the Brent crude went up to $120 a few days ago and it came back down because of some comments. So it's difficult to say, but the safest bet is that the prices will increase for money.
It's a particularly pertinent question to ask, of course, because many South Africans will be traveling over the Easter period and traveling to different parts of the country, and that should happen in April. But as Prof. Padiachi says, it's difficult to say because one just doesn't know the variables of this war or conflict, whichever word you prefer, and how the details will play out in the coming weeks. But at some point, we will likely be paying more.
702.
Coming up, the big interview.
Paying more for electricity, paying more for fuel. Up next, we speak to the National Energy Regulator of South Africa about electricity hikes and what that will mean for South Africans. We also speak to the police about this elite sniper trained by the cops, and he's the one who allegedly killed Witness D.
This is EWN.
Police are worried about skilled cops who commit crime, and Jacob Zuma says he should not be blamed for delays of the new TRC inquiry. Good morning, I'm Sviso Zulu. The South African Police Service has raised the alarm over skilled officers leaving the force to join the private sector or engage in criminality. The most recent case study is of former police officer Matipandile Soteni, who allegedly shot and killed Marius van der Merwe, who was a key witness at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Soteni allegedly shot van der Merwe, who testified as Witness D outside his Brakpan home in December. He made his first appearance in the Brakpan Magistrates Court yesterday. Alfara Mushwana was there.
Police have described Matipandile Soteni, who allegedly shot and killed Witness D, as a very dangerous man, given the fact that he was part of the Special Task Force. The task force is the most elite unit within the South African Police Service, with its officers highly trained to neutralize threats with extreme accuracy. Soteni was a marksman in the unit, meaning he was specifically trained and highly skilled in precision shooting using snipers and rifles. Police spokesperson Athlenda Mate says it's unfortunate that such a highly skilled former officer is now allegedly involved in criminal activity.
For us to train one member of the Special Task Force, it costs us more than R1 million each member. So it tells you they're highly trained. He's a sharpshooter. So that in itself makes him quite lethal. He's quite dangerous.
Soteni will return to court for a formal bail application on Wednesday next week. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News in Brakpan.
An organised crime police officer who struggled to explain to the Madlanga Commission why he shared confidential SAPS documents with civilians has appeared before the commission. Sergeant Faninkosi appeared at the inquiry yesterday, where he was questioned about his relationship with some controversial businessmen. Nkosi has been accused of being a middleman between the questionable characters and senior police officials. Tabiso Koba reports.
In March 2024, an internal audit report was prepared at SAPS and recommended the service cancel its multi-million-rand tender with a company owned by controversial businessman Vusimuzi Kat Matlala. Despite the report being labelled confidential, Sergeant Faninkosi shared it with Matlala and another controversial businessman, Steve Motsumi. Nkosi says the report was already public as he saw it on Facebook. However, Co-Commissioner Sandile Khumalo did not buy this explanation.
Do you accept that it was wrong to send a SAPS document to somebody outside of SAPS? That's my simple question.
Can we park that one?
No, I don't want to park it.
I'm begging you.
No, I don't want to park it. I want you to answer me.
Nkosi says he, quote, doesn't know whether sharing confidential information with civilians is wrong. He returns to the witness stand today. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
Lawyers representing former President Jacob Zuma have told the High Court in Johannesburg that TRC inquiry chairperson Judge Sisi Khampepe acted irrationally when she dismissed a recusal application on the basis of alleged delays. Advocate Dalim Mpofu argues on behalf of his client Jacob Zuma that the commission exaggerated timelines after claiming that Zuma delayed proceedings for 8 months before bringing the application. Zuma, together with former President Thabo Mbeki, want the court to remove Khampepe as chair of the commission after she refused to recuse herself.
It was illegal, unreasonable and irrational for the commissioner, knowing what she knows, having been the one who granted us the extension, being the one who granted us the directives, and we acted according to her directives, to suddenly say, oh no, but you had 9 months or 8 months or whatever. Nobody who has read these papers can come to that conclusion.
And European powers have rejected US President Donald Trump's call to help open the Strait of Hormuz, saying they will not be drawn into a wider war. Trump threatened his NATO allies, saying they face a very bad future if members fail to reopen the vital waterway, which normally carries a fifth of global crude oil. Global oil prices have surged by 40 to 50% as Iran attacks shipping in retaliation for the war launched by the US and Israel on the 28th of February. Australia, Poland, Spain, Greece and Sweden have distanced themselves from any military involvement in the strait. Germany has also said that it has always been clear that this war is not a matter for NATO. But Britain's Prime Minister Keir Starmer says there's a viable plan on the cards.
Working with others to come up with a credible plan for the Straits of Hormuz to ensure that we can reopen shipping and passage through the strait. Let me be clear, that won't be, and it's never been envisaged to be, a NATO mission. That'll have to be an alliance of partners, which is why we're working with partners both in Europe, in the Gulf and with the US.
Gold is trading at $5,037.82 an ounce. The rand is at 16.70 to the dollar, 22.22 to the pound, 19.20 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $102.87 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays in Centurion along the N14 North approaching Euphues Road. That's due to peak time delays there. And speaking of Centurion, we've got several delays along other roads as well, like the R114, Littleton Road, as well as Euphues Road. Please be on the lookout if you're traveling within the Centurion areas.
And in your sport, the Proteas women beat New Zealand by 18 runs in the second T20 to level the series. Kaka took 4 wickets, Brits made 53. The Proteas men are playing New Zealand at 8:15. Sundowns have a chance to move clear at the top of the Premiership tonight as they face Maroma Galant. South African coach Rulani Mokoena detained in Algeria for violating that country's currency regulations. And in the Premier League, Wolves twice came from a goal down to draw 2-2 with Brentford.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with showers and thunder showers expected later. Johannesburg and Pretoria both at lows of 15 degrees, peaking at 26 for Vereeniging 14 and 25. The top story in EWN this hour, the South African Police Service has raised the alarm over skilled officers who leave the force to join the private sector or even engage in criminality.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
7 minutes after 7 o'clock. I mean, how scary is this story? The police yesterday saying that it was his lethal skills that would have made him the perfect guy, the perfect hitman for this job. This wasn't some guy randomly walking up to Witness D and shooting him because he had proximity. This was somebody who was well trained. I want you to listen to more of the South African police spokesperson, Adlenda Mate. She's going to be joining us shortly, explaining what the police believe about the accused, one Matipandile Soten, who appeared in court yesterday in connection with the case. They believe, the police, that he was approached, Soteni, that is, because he could carry out the job cleanly. This is a man who on Instagram had pictures training He even claimed to eat wild animals, things like snakes. He's seen with tigers, and of course he's seen with weapons, and he's got a love and passion for guns. It cost over R1 million to train him as an elite sniper. And he's now being accused of murder.
The gunman who shot Witness D shot him from the car, and that could only be possible if you've got a highly trained gunman to do so. He shot 2 shots and Witness D was killed by 1 shot. So it tells you that given the background of Sotheni, they knew that Sotheni would do a clean job. He would execute and eliminate Witness D on the spot because of his training, because of the training that our Special Task Force members received. So the SAPS has been quite hard at work, and we unfortunately did find out that the Suzuki Swift belongs actually to the girlfriend of Sotheni. So the team has worked hard in this particular case. We brought the murder charges, conspiracy to commit murder, but at the time that he was arrested, he was found with hundreds of various caliber of ammunition as well, which is quite concerning. But those charges will be added at a later stage, I think. But I think the NPA will then elaborate further on the charges that Sotheni is facing. At this stage, we cannot rule out the possibility of further arrests, but we are quite confident that we have the shooter, the gunman who pulled the trigger on that evening that killed Witness D.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
In the meantime, as you've just heard before we went to the news, we're keeping an eye on developments in the Middle East. But that might not be the only source or place of conflict in the coming days. There are also concerns about Cuba. I want you to listen now to this report from CNN's Patrick Opman, who is in Havana, the capital of Cuba, who says that the blackouts there have caused a nationwide collapse of the electricity grid. This, of course, following that oil embargo on Cuba from 3 months ago.
The island of Cuba is in a blackout at the moment. It's the first time this has taken place since the Trump administration placed a total oil embargo on this island. And the concern is, although we've had island-wide blackouts in the past, is whether or not Cuba could get the power back on. What happens typically when you have a blackout in a province or in part of this island, they were able to essentially jumpstart those electrical grids using other electric grids where they have not lost power. When you have an island-wide blackout like this, 10 million people in the dark at this moment, it gets much harder to do that.
It's much harder to do that. Of course, the US President Donald Trump has made remarks about Cuba and what he intends for the island.
You know, all my life I've been hearing about the United States and Cuba. When will the United States do it? I do believe I'll be having the honor of taking Cuba. That'd be good honor. That's a big honor.
Taking Cuba.
Taking Cuba in some form, yeah. Taking Cuba. I mean, whether I free it, take it, I think I could do anything I want with it. You want to know the truth? They're a very weakened nation right now.
Isn't that extraordinary? I can take it. I can do whatever I want with it.
A whole country.
Yeah, I can just take it.
With people and officials, I can take it.
What's extraordinary is on social media, a 2008 interview he gave to CNN's Wolf Blitzer has resurfaced. This was pre-president, pre-even candidate Donald Trump, talking specifically about George W. Bush, not even Obama, Bush, who is also a Republican like Donald Trump. This is what he was saying in 2008 about what a Republican president who's taken the Americans to war should face.
You know, when she first got in and was named speaker, I met her, and I'm very impressed by her. I think she's a very impressive person. I like her a lot. But I was surprised that she didn't do more in terms of Bush and going after Bush. It just seemed like she was going to really look to impeach Bush and get him out of office, which personally I think would have been a wonderful thing.
Impeaching him?
Absolutely, for the war. For the war.
Because of the conduct of the war.
Well, he lied. Got us into the war with lies. And, I mean, look at the trouble Bill Clinton got into with something that was totally unimportant. And they tried to impeach him, which was nonsense. And yet Bush got us into this horrible war with lies, by lying, by saying they had weapons of mass destruction, by saying all sorts of things that turned out not to be true.
He's talking about Nancy Pelosi, of course, the Speaker of Congress there, and he's surprised she, as the Democrat, didn't try to get Bush impeached because he took us to war with lies. He's even on the side of Bill Clinton. He says they tried to impeach Clinton for something that was very unimportant, but for war, they let Bush go. Imagine. That was 2008 Donald Trump, and now he can take Cuba because, you know, he can do whatever he wants.
702. Up next.
The big interview.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by South African Airways. See just how far you can go with them. Book at flysaa.com now. There's a crash, I think you said, Amo, at Winchester Hills?
That's correct, Bongani. It's causing heavy traffic volumes, especially if you're approaching Klip Rivier Drive. Please be on the lookout there and try to avoid if you can. You can still use the R59 North if you want to head towards areas like Germiston. If you're traveling on the N1 North, expect heavy traffic volumes. This is between the Soweto Highway and Albertina Sisulu Road. An accident reported there. There's also queuing traffic in Sharon Lee along Malibongwe Drive. This is between Northumberland Avenue and the N1 exit. Peak time delays reported there. I'll have more updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
702.
The big interview.
With Bongani Bingwa.
16 after 7. A couple of issues to catch up with as far as law enforcement is concerned, specifically when it relates to the police. We've invited Brigadier Atlenda Mate, who is, of course, the national spokesperson for SAPS, who joins us now. A very good morning to you, Brigadier, and welcome to our program.
A very good morning to you and to your listeners.
Thank you for your time. Let's start with this latest news, the appearance yesterday of this murder accused, one Matipandile Soteni. He's accused, of course, of the murder of witness D. Marius van der Merwe, who testified at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Who is this man, Matipandile Soteni, insofar as his history with SAPS is concerned?
Well, it's quite unfortunate that Soteni is a former member. He was enlisted in the SAPS in 2005, and in 2010 he joined our elite unit, the Special Task Force. He served in that unit for 9 years up until he resigned in 2019. We are aware that he has been working for several private companies, and during his arrest, at the time of his arrest, he was working for a wealthy individual in Houghton.
Just give us a sense, when you talk about an elite unit, I mean, how lethal are his skills? How specialized was his training?
Well, the Special Task Force consists of members that are highly trained. With regards to Soteni, he was a marksman. A marksman is a highly trained sharpshooter, close to the level of a sniper. They really go through intense training. And I wouldn't want to go into detail, but because we would then give the recipe on how highly trained they are. But they can deploy from a parachute, from a moving aeroplane or helicopter. That's how highly trained they are. Most of them are snipers and sharpshooters. They can operate on ships. Most of them, all of them actually, they can rescue hostages and so on. So they only respond to high-risk incidents. Highly trained, it costs more than $1 million to train each of the Special Task Force members. So their training focuses on weapon proficiency, advanced rural, your urban tactics, so they can work in high-rise buildings, in rural areas, hostage release, explosive disposal, and parachuting.
Yeah, because you've given a little hint there, because my next question was, in what situations would they be typically deployed?
Only in high-risk situations, and that is why you would have noted that they're not allowed to be identified because of the risk of the jobs that they do. So they are the last line of defense. And before they are called, there are several units. You'll know that before the STF is called, it will firstly be the local police station that will attend to the incident. If the situation escalates, we then call POP, or we call a TRT. Then we move on to NIU. If the situation then escalates further, we call the counter-assault team, and then they are the last line of defense. They are the last ones that are usually called, because it will mean that the situation is so severe that we need this particular unit to come and defuse the situation and assist.
If they've got a target, they'll get their man.
Absolutely. Sharpshooters, they don't make a mistake. They do a clean job.
How did he leave the service?
Well, he resigned. He resigned and joined the private sector, and that was our biggest. It's been our biggest concern for years. The private sector and these wealthy individuals are poaching from the SAPS, and obviously because government can't afford the salaries that they are offering to these operators. We've tried our level best. The National Commissioner is trying to give them the skills allowance, and the Special Task Force unit is actually getting the biggest chunk of this skills allowance. Then you have the counter-assault team that will be the highest paid in terms of skills, and then you'll have NIU and so on. But even then, with the skills allowance combined with the salary, we still can't match what these wealthy individuals in the private sector is offering them. So we do regularly talk to our members to say, be dedicated. It's all about integrity, because when you're outside, these people, these private companies and so on, they can ask you to do any other job, and it becomes difficult then for you to say no, because you're already in. And now we are seeing with Sotheni what has happened.
Brigadier, how scary is it? I mean, I can understand, as you've outlined, what they would be doing for, as policemen, essentially. But why do private outfits, why do private individuals need this kind of skill?
Because they know they are highly trained, they are highly specialized, they are the best of the best in the country. Actually, on the African continent, our Special Task Force unit ranks #1 on the African continent. So it's quite unfortunate that we are spending millions to train them, only for the private sector to poach.
Hold on, Brigadier. I get the skills. You've outlined that clearly, but what I'm trying to understand, for what purpose? We know that they're skilled, that they're best of the best, but why would a private outfit or even a private individual need their skills? Why would they're hiring them to do what?
Or to protect them as close. Most of them are working as close protectors for various private companies, and for some wealthy individuals as well. They are protecting them. I think I remember the former minister. We had a meeting in Durban together with the Provincial Commissioner of KZN, Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, as well as General Fani Matsimola, where we actually called about, I think there were about 20 that we found them working for a taxi boss, and we were pleading with them. We had a meeting with them, pleading with them to come back to the service, saying we are, obviously looking at their packages, how to improve, and so on. And actually, one of them stood up there in the meeting and said, with all due respect, Commissioner, you cannot afford us. Wow. You cannot afford us. Government can never afford us. What we are getting out here can never compare to what government can put on the table. With all due respect, we cannot come back.
And he would be a very good example, a very good case study, because if you look at his social media, the photographs he's posted there, not only, of course, playing with weapons, the fancy cars, the trips that he says he's been undertaking, and so on. Please tell us how, if to the degree that you can, how he is then linked to the murder of Marius van der Merwe, or Witness D.
So we do believe that, unfortunately, Sotheni was the gunman, was the shooter. From our investigation, it looks like it was a side job. They offered him, they put something on the table. They knew he was the best person for the job because of his training and his skills. They needed him to do the clean job, and they knew that with his expertise, he would take out and eliminate witness D on that evening. So it does look like he worked with the late Viandre Pretorius, who committed suicide in February. Our investigation does tell us that he was the driver of that vehicle that evening. But we are hoping that Sotheni will also start singing and tell us who ordered him, who paid him, and who is also involved, apart from the late Viandre Pretorius, who is also involved in this hit. But we are investigating. You will recall we did say all that is happening from the murder of witness D to the suicide of Viandre Pretorius, it has links with the 2022 murder of Emmanuel Mbense, who was killed and then thrown into a dam in the Thokoza area. Yeah. So we are also expanding our investigation to look into that, because it can be a coincidence. Witness D appears before the Madanga Commission, implicates certain individuals. Few weeks later, he's then shot and killed. Clearly, they needed to silence him.
Gotcha. The net is closing in. For all that we watch every day, the net is closing in very clearly. Brigadier Adlenda Mate, the spokesperson for the South African Police Service.
702.
The Big Interview
with Bongani Bingwa.
Perhaps then a quick update. We've told you about expecting more at the pump in terms of what we pay, but also, of course, NERSA approving that tariff increase for Eskom. What does it mean for ratepayers and residents? We've got Rulani Matebula, who's the executive manager for electricity regulation at NERSA. This is the National Energy Regulator of South Africa. Appreciate your time, and thank you for talking to us this morning.
Good morning, Bongani, and good morning to your listeners.
Right. How much more can South Africans then expect to pay as a result of tariff increases? Is it 8.76% from the 1st of April?
Yes, Bongani. This decision, it's part of our multi-year price determination for Eskom, Bongani, so that let's assist the listeners. So there is a process that the regulator embarks on, and this process actually approves prices or tariffs for Eskom for 3 years, actually. So this decision, Bongani, was made in January last year, where the regulator actually announced that for the coming 3 years, this will be the price escalation in terms of electricity for the 3 years ending in March 2028. So this activity that we have just undergone now, it's called the Eskom retail tariff structure approval. So this is just the approval for Eskom to then implement. So I wanted to just use the opportunity, Bongani, to indicate as well that also the price adjustment for next year has already been pronounced by the regulator, and that figure is 8.83. So what I want to indicate, Bongani, is that yes, it is true, and I think we already have heard even in the news that even the minister himself has indicated that these price escalations are unbearable. And indeed, it is a situation that we find ourselves in. But as a regulator, Bongani, it is not necessarily a discretional decision that we make. It is a methodological decision. We follow a process. We consider the allowable revenue for the utility, and we take out what we believe it's not prudent, it's not efficient, and we remain with the bare minimum. So what I'm trying to say is that this is the bare minimum to ensure the survival of the utility as well, because it is our duty as the regulator to balance both the needs of the consumers, but also the existence of the utility. So the utility itself would have wanted more, Bongani, but we needed to balance, obviously, the need for the utility and that for the consumers.
Of course, they would have wanted more. I can't think of any consumer who would describe this as the bare minimum. Rulani Matebula is the Executive Manager for Electricity Regulation at NERSA.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic brought to you by South African Airways. Get all-inclusive fares, your seat, your meal, and your baggage. It's all in. Book at flysaa.com.
Well, Bongani, we still have got queuing traffic on the N3 North. This is between the Airlines Interchange and Van Buren Road. Well, that accident we spoke about earlier in Winchester has been cleared. Traffic is now flowing through the N12 West. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
EWN Business.
Catch up with business now. A bare minimum, says NERSA, as far as the Eskom tariffs. So that's certainly going up. But also, of course, we're looking at the price of oil. Mateo, where is it this morning?
It jumped 2% this morning as uncertainty lingered over the U.S.'s plan to protect shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. International benchmark Brent crude oil are gaining 2.5% at $102 per barrel, while the U.S. Texas Intermediate rose 2.5% as well. The rand at this hour, as all of that is happening, far weaker this morning, 16 Rand 67 against the US dollar, at 19 Rand 16 cents against the euro, and at 22 Rand 19 cents against the British pound. Price of gold up 0.5% at $5,035 an ounce, or platinum is up 3.5% at $2,166. Brent crude, the main talking point on the markets, up 2% now at $102 per barrel, obviously going to hurt at the petrol pumps in the next few months. More business after 8.
Thank you, Mutero. And having lived in the region, you know how to say the Strait of? Say it again.
Hormuz.
Say it.
Bongani, Hormuz.
Hormuz. Do you have Hormuz or hummus for us at the news desk? Sviso Zulu.
Not at this time, Bongani, but we do start in the Western Cape, where police say they have not received any tangible information to warrant further arrests related to the disappearance of little Jocelyn Smith. Patriotic Alliance leader Gayton McKenzie claims to have new evidence related to the matter. McKenzie made the allegations while speaking at the launch of the Jocelyn Smith Foundation, saying a former accused turned state witness, Laurentia Lombard, is now willing to provide new information. Jocelyn's mother, Kelly Smith, and her co-accused, Jacquina Pollis and Stefano van Rijn, were sentenced last year to life imprisonment for the child's disappearance about 2 years ago. Carlo Peterson reports.
Patriotic Alliance leader and Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, Gayton McKenzie, alleges state witness Laurentia Lombard's boyfriend, Ayanda Letoni, is the real mastermind behind the child's kidnapping. McKenzie says a private investigator has also uncovered new developments, including evidence found during a recent raid at a residence allegedly linked to Letoni. PA spokesperson Steve Motale.
We have had to be very careful about collecting irrefutable further evidence to tie up this case.
Police say the investigation remains open, but there's no tangible information to warrant more arrests or prosecution. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
Action SA mayoral candidate for Joburg, Herman Mashaba, says he aims to carry out his 2016 plan to dismantle some of the city's entities in order to save money for the metro. Speaking on 702 last night, the former mayor said he noted that some of the organizations failed to deliver services. Mashaba says most of executives at these institutions were cadre deployments, something he intended to put to an end during his tenure.
I'm on record, unapologetically so, that given the mandate to be the mayor of the city of Johannesburg, this time around, the city entities like Joburg Water, City Power, pick it up. I'm going to dismantle them.
He says this will be one of his first tasks that he will do if he returns to the city's first office.
In the first sitting of council, or the second sitting of council, I'm going to bring in a report for the dissolution of these entities. They must be run by Section 56 managers appointed, obviously, through the process, are being approved by council. They report directly to the city manager. We don't need these boards whatsoever.
Rising water levels at rivers in Limpopo are disrupting access to several camps in the northern Kruger National Park. Parts of the province continue to experience flooding following days of heavy downpours. SANParks says river levels have risen sharply and they are concerned that more rain is forecast this week. Mongezi Koko reports.
The park says the area remains particularly vulnerable after heavy rains earlier this year that left river catchments saturated. While water levels at the Shingwedzi River continue to rise, management says it's not yet reached a point where evacuations of staff or visitors are necessary. However, park officials say they are closely monitoring the Shisha stream near Balabala and Sireni, which has overflowed onto the tar road. Several facilities in the northern parts of the park have been affected, including Punda Maria and Pafari Gates, as well as a number of bush camps. SANParks says most gravel roads in the northern and central sections of the park are temporarily closed and visitors are urged to remain alert and follow road signage. The organization says it is continuing to monitor conditions as the safety of visitors, staff and infrastructure remains a priority. Mungi Zikoko, Eyewitness News.
And hundreds of people have reportedly been killed during an attack on a drug rehab center in Afghanistan. Officials are blaming neighboring Pakistan for the attack, but it denies that, saying it conducted precision strikes on military installations and terrorist support infrastructure. The Pakistani military has struck Kabul several times in recent weeks as part of a conflict sparked by claims that the Taliban government has harbored extremists who have carried out attacks across the border. The government says Pakistan has once again violated Afghan territory, calling the strikes a crime and an act of inhumanity. Long-running cross-border clashes between Afghanistan and Pakistan escalated in October last year, leaving dozens dead, but after subsiding, they resumed last month, with Pakistan describing the conflict as open war. A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng, with showers expected today. The temperatures are at lows of 14 and 15 degrees, peaking at highs between 25 and 26.
And in the traffic, we've got delays in the city of Tshwane along the N14 North approaching Euphus Road. Delays from Littleton Road. There's also queuing traffic reported on the N1, both directions in and out of the Flying Saucer interchange due to roadworks.
The top story this hour, police say they have not received any tangible information to warrant further arrest related to the disappearance of little Jocelyn Smith in the Western Cape.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
The decision of the ANC in Johannesburg. I just want to get your reaction as mayor. How do you feel?
No, I've not received any communication of any decisions that was made in an official REC meeting.
So, of course, the reports suggest that the decision that they have taken is to recall you as mayor. Thank you for confirming that you have not received anything as yet. But would you be okay to walk away if that's the decision that the organization takes?
Once the ANC makes a decision of that nature, I suppose we have to comply with the decisions of the organization.
Tata Morero is the current mayor of the city of Johannesburg, potentially the outgoing mayor.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Running a business comes with risk, even when everything is done right. Public liability insurance protects a business if someone is injured or their property is damaged as a result of business operations. One unexpected incident can lead to serious financial strain. Budget insurance offers affordable cover designed to help small businesses stay protected and keep operating with confidence. You can choose cover starting from 1 million Rand all the way up to 100 million Rand, and it's available as a standalone product, making it simple and accessible for small business owners. Even small, everyday accidents can create unexpected financial losses for a business. Something as simple as a customer slipping on a wet floor, a contractor scratching or damaging a client's property. Even if your business is not negligent, the policy assists with legal defense costs, protecting against the financial impact of claims. For more information on public liability insurance or to get a quote, you can head to budgetinsurance.co.za.
Remember when you had to hurry up and wait, and cars could only run on fossil fuels? Well, hurry up and catch up. You don't need diesel power, you just need a second electric motor. With Volvo plug-in hybrids, you can drive electric in the city, switch to fuel for the long haul, or combine both when you want it all. So what are you waiting for? You're late for your test drive. It's safe to be brave with Volvo.
Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire. From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crushed prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety, and service, Warrior Paints is street ahead. Warrior Paints, affordable, lasting, luxury.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Good morning, Bongani. Bongani, you stole the words right out of my mouth. So I was asking myself the same thing as to why do these individuals need such high skill to protect them. I mean, look at one of these SPV money trucks. You know, you might find there's over 100 million in that car, but it's 3 guys that went through normal security training. Banks, the guards there at the banks aren't skilled marksmen, and so what is it that these individuals need these people for? Why? What are they protecting that is so much that they need someone that is highly skilled and is a marksman?
Bongani, it's simple. They're protecting the criminals. When it comes to the warfare that happens with these Amazamas, they are protecting the elite of the elite. And do we really think that the government and the police and the army are not on the take? Why do they never solve this problem? It's simple. They're all on the take. That is why we have the biggest private security force in the world in South Africa in the form of security companies. It's a self-sustaining business. You have to create the fear and the pandemonium that people will subscribe to it instead of the state actually securing the assets and securing its own people.
Hi, Bongani. So now we spend millions of rands training people to murder us. This is not right. I mean, like, imagine this person now is a state-owned property, the way it sounds. And I think the state should be giving them a different contract. They should be telling them not to leave. They should not let them go because they are highly trained. We have spent millions in each person. Now, look, now they are using that skill to kill us. Sabo from Lombardi.
I mean, the libertarian in me is already nervous about snipers working for the police. I get maybe the army, but for the police. But as you heard from the spokesperson, Brigadier Mate, sometimes it's a hostage situation and they got to do what they got to do. But these are very highly specialized skills. But it also means you've got people who used to be in the service who are walking around with these skills and they're prepared to sell them to the highest bidder. You may remember the murder of Klutemari, the liquidator. He and his son were killed on the M1 just after New Road. Just after New Road, past that engine garage. They were killed by a sniper believed to have been on a motorbike. The bullet came from the back window of the car, went through the headrest and got him on the back of the head. Clean shot. And we don't know who did it. And so when you hear of this kind of skilled elite officer now selling their skills to the private sector, I understand close protection bodyguards. But why would an outfit or even an individual have a sniper for hire? Scary business this, eh?
Morning bongs, and the 702 team there. Look, man, out of curiosity, I went and I found this Soteni gentleman on Instagram. Nah, this is a serious guy, bongs. It's just guns and training. This bro's jumping out of airplanes on his IG. Man, if these are the guys that are out here carrying out hits, we are in trouble as civilians, man. Anyway, great show as always. This is Sia Rodiport.
Thank you, Sia Rodiport. I mean, look, if nothing else, the good out of this can be, perhaps, that the police maybe are turning the corner, right? Because all we've heard for the last few weeks, last few months, is how corrupt they are. We've certainly seen some of these people squirm at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. If indeed these allegations are proved to be true, and this was the hitman who killed Marius van der Merwe, and that they were able to catch him, even though he's one of them, maybe there's some good news. Hey?
702.
What's the question?
What's the question is brought to you by Outsurance, a chance for you to win up to 3,000 Rand in cash. First, 1,000 Rand for the answer, and then a little later, 2,000 Rand if you can give us the question. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask Outsurance for 500 Rand. Let's go to the lines. We have got Nkoskona in Katlehong who has today's answer. Nkoskona?
How are you, Bob?
I'm very well, thank you. Firstly, let me ask you, Nkoskona, have you got yourself a quote from Outsurance?
Yes, I did.
So what's today's answer?
1992.
1992. You biscuit. 1,000 Rand is coming your way, all thanks to 702 and Outsurance. 1992 is today's answer. What's the question? Call us if you know on 011 883 0702.
EWN Sport.
Cindy Paluta, 7:45. Let's talk cricket. Proteas women against New Zealand.
Yes, the Proteas women have beaten New Zealand by 18 runs. In the second T20, they level the series, chasing 178, New Zealand 159 all out. Kaká took 4 for 27 and Malaba took 3 wickets. Earlier, the Proteas women posted 177 for 5 with Brits making 53, Wolfart unbeaten 41, less with 31. While the Proteas men take on New Zealand in half an hour's time, batter Jordan Herman is out of the series. The hamstring injury, New Zealand don't have spinner Soddy. He has a broken thumb.
I was going to say, should they ask the ladies for advice, eh?
Well, no, because in the first T20 on Sunday, the men beat New Zealand by, I think it was 7 wickets, and the women lost by 80 runs.
Okay,
So,
circles and roundabouts.
Yes. The joy of sport. Mamelodi Sundowns have a chance to go back top of the Betway Premiership tonight. They're playing Maruma. A win for Sundowns would put them 2 points clear at the top of the table. South African coach Rulani Mokoena was arrested in Algeria, detained and received a 2-month suspended prison sentence. He was found guilty for attempting to take foreign currency out of that country. Mokoena was on his way to Libya to start a new job at Al Ittihad Tripoli following his resignation from MC Alger. In the Champions League tonight, the only game level on aggregate, Arsenal's game with Bayer Leverkusen, while Real Madrid, PSG and Bodo Glimt all have 3-goal advantages going into their games against Manchester City, Chelsea and Sporting. Real Madrid beat City 3-0 in that first leg. Boss Pep Guardiola.
It's a football game. Many things can happen. You have to focus and try to first win the game, and after we see what happens during the game. I don't have a specific plan, a part of the just try it. It's an incredible experience and an incredible opportunity to try it.
And Premier League action last night, Wolves twice coming from 2 goals down to draw with Brentford 2-2. Brentford missing the chance to go within a point of Chelsea. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
The Audi Open House Sales Event is here and you're invited. Come test drive a wide range of Audi models, take advantage of exclusive offers, and stand a chance to win an all-expenses-paid trip to Formula One, courtesy of Audi. The Audi Open House Sales Event is now on until 30th of April at Audi dealerships nationwide. Book your test drive today at audi.co.za. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey guys, this is Robert Marawa, Hollywood Bet's brand ambassador. Playing responsibly is part of the winning strategy. Make smart choices and continue to score. If you or someone that you know needs help, call the South African Responsible Gambling Toll-Free Counseling Line on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop.
Safety begins in our homes, our streets, and our communities. Government is working to ensure that every person in South Africa feels safe. Based on the President's commitment during the State of the Nation address, the South African National Defence Force is being deployed to support the South African Police Service in crime prevention operations across selected areas in Gauteng, Western Cape, Free State, Eastern Cape, and the Northwest. Their role is to support the South African Police Service to protect communities and strengthen safety where it matters most. Fighting crime needs all of us. If you see criminal activity, speak up. Report it to your nearest police station or call Crime Stop on 0800 10 111. Working together for a safer South Africa. A message from the Government Communication and Information System, the GCIS.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Peugeot. Pretty tough. Amo?
Well, Bongani, we still have got queuing traffic along the N3 North. That is between the Elands Interchange and Van Buren Road. Roadworks are taking place along this route. There's also roadworks in Boksburg along the N17 West between Roundabout Road and Osborne Road. Please be on the lookout there and expect about a 20-minute hold-up. If you want to head towards areas like Germiston as well as Bedfordview, your best route is the N12 West. If you're traveling on the N3 South, we've got some delays towards Marlborough Drive. Also, due to roadworks there, please be on the lookout. I'll have more updates. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
When your business needs strength, reliability, and serious capability, look no further than the Peugeot Professional Pickup range. Built tough for South African conditions, Peugeot pickups are engineered for fleets, professionals, and the heroes who keep this country moving. Load capacity, fuel-efficient performance, these pickups work as hard as you do. So whether you're building, delivering, or farming, Peugeot has a model that's ready for the job. Visit your nearest dealership today and power your business with the confidence of Peugeot Professional. Landtrek, it's pretty, but tough.
702.
What's the question?
For 2,000 Rand in cash, all thanks to Outsurance, please tell me what's the question if the answer is 1992. Tinzwalo is in Alex. Tinzwalo, what's the question?
In which year did white South Africans vote in a historic referendum where 69% voted in support of reforms?
Tinzwalo, have you got yourself a quote from Outsurance?
Yes, I have.
Are you standing or sitting, Tinzwalo?
I'm standing.
Or are you lying down?
No, I'm standing. I need to, the network. Yeah, the network is bad. The sky is closed.
Are you sure? You're not lying down? Because I can't give you if you're lying down.
No, I'm standing up.
Just giving you a hard time, Tinzwalo. 2,000 Rand is coming your way. All thanks to Outsurance and 702. Hey, how the times have changed. It was on this day, 1992, that FW de Klerk went to the only voters who were on the roll at that time, white South Africans, and asked them, should I continue with the reforms, the unbanning of the ANC, the negotiations? Should we continue to democracy, yes or no? And on this day, 1992, an overwhelming 69% said, yep, continue. And here we are.
Outsurance is saving 27-year-old Liam big bucks on his car insurance.
Saving so much every month, around 640 Rand.
That's an awesome 640 Rand saving on Liam's 2024 Ranger. And after 3 claim-free years, he gets an out bonus.
Definitely getting a lot out.
Get a quote now and see how much money Outsurance could save you. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Licensed insurer in FSP. TCs and information online.
Mzansi, are you ready to make it rain millions? Play Powerball and Powerball Plus for a jaw-dropping 145 million Rand in total estimated jackpots this Tuesday, and you could win big. Play Powerball for 100 million Rand and Powerball Plus for 45 million Rand today. Buy your tickets now in-store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app or cell phone banking. Panda, push up, play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
All Scholar Transport operators are required to comply with the following mandatory requirements: a valid operating license authorizing the operator to transport passengers on the specified route, a valid operator disc, which must be clearly displayed on the windscreen next to the vehicle license disc, a valid vehicle registration with a current roadworthy certificate confirming that the vehicle is fit, safe, and legally permitted to operate on public roads. Compliance must be reflected on the vehicle license disc. Compliance with these requirements is non-negotiable and is enforced to safeguard the lives of learners and all road users. Issued by the National Department of Transport.
Let's hear from Dr. Armand, owner of Monument Dental, why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance.
It was one call and I was covered immediately. We are very happy with the premium we're paying. I wish I did it sooner.
For dentistries, general medical practices, and all other businesses, get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
702.
702. What's gone viral?
With Kabazela.
Let's catch up now with the world of viral content. Kabazela.
Good morning to you, Bella.
I do think it's the most grown-up sign, or the biggest sign that I'm grown up, whichever. On a Sunday, I get my newspaper delivered. I still have the digital version, but I'm on somebody's paper route, Kabazel. And so one of the things I do on a Sunday morning is to go fetch the paper in the driveway. It's the most grown-up I've arrived thing I can think of. What do you do on a Sunday?
No, Sundays for me, well, let's put it this way. The first half of the year, Sundays are golf because I play in the Copperleaf League team. So mostly on a Sunday, I'm up early and I'm heading off to either Copperleaf or one of the opponent golf courses. So that's for pretty much up until the end of April. And then after that, Sundays are just a nice, relaxing, lazy, chilled morning with the missus. And basically just to chill and do nothing. No getting up and going to fetch newspapers in the driveway. I couldn't think of anything worse. But yeah, it's a very chilled day for me. I don't like to party on a Sunday. I really don't like to drink on a Sunday. It needs to be quite a clean day for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But some people love a Sunday, Joel, ne? Yeah.
I love the idea of walking to go get my paper. It's like the first thing I do on Sunday morning. In fact, I make a cup of coffee.
Yeah,
I make a cup
I was
of
going
coffee.
to say.
And I check to see, is the paper there? And then when it arrives, in my gown and my slippers.
And your slippers.
Yes. I feel
I
like.
can see you.
You know what I mean? I feel like I'm a Mr. So-and-so. Do you know what I mean? You know how in your neighborhood, there was a Mr. So-and-so. Right? This wasn't John's dad. You know, this wasn't Uncle Phil or Uncle whoever. He was just known as Mr. So-and-so.
Yeah.
So on Sunday mornings, I feel like a Mr. So-and-so. All right, Kamazela wants to know, what's a typical Sunday for you? What do you do on a Sunday that makes yours special?
EWN Traffic.
It's EWN Traffic brought to you by South African Airways. See just how far you can go with them. Book at flysaa.com now. Amo?
Bongani, roadworks are taking place on the R21 north heading towards the city of Tshwane. They're causing delays towards Olifantsfontein Road. Please be on the lookout there. Otherwise, use the N1 north through Midrand to try and avoid this backlog. Traveling in four ways. We've got delays on Winnie Mandela Drive. This is between Witkoppen Road and the N1. There's also queuing traffic on in Sharon Lee along Malibongwe Drive towards the N1 exit. Peak time delays there. More updates coming up. Do stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
702.
702.
Feedback with Baphelile Sambo.
Miss Sambo.
Mr.
Do you
Bingwa.
feel like Miss Sambo today?
Yeah, somehow.
Somehow. All right. What feedback do you have?
Oh, Bongani, that 6:15 interview, that 7:15 interview with SAPS spokesperson Ahlenda Mate on Mathiphandile Sotheni has 702 lenders asking plenty of questions, but one cuts through it all. Who hired him? They're also raising key points. They're saying, after investing so much in training elite task force members, shouldn't there be tighter contracts to stop them from moving straight into private work? Some on WhatsApp suggest simply that a 10 to 15-year exclusive employment term must be in place. He says if you leave early, you must pay back the 1 million rands, no shortcut, and a 12-month cooling off period, no jumping ship to the private sector.
I mean, that sounds like a thought.
Yeah, and Boss Tanaka on YouTube actually answers your question on why do people hire snipers. He says that hiring a sniper is for protection, especially with the rising fears around kidnappings of wealthy individuals.
Yeah, but they're not executioners. Do you understand what I mean? They're not executioners. You can't.
Layer of protection.
Yeah, I don't know, hey?
Yeah, it must be a sniper as well.
Because the South African law only allows you to shoot somebody else in self-defense. The very nature of what a sniper does is a preemptive strike, right? It's an offensive action. It's not a defensive action. Again, why does a private individual or company need a sniper? Because you have to demonstrate that your life was under threat, and that's why you shot.
I guess it's that added layer of protection that they seek.
All right, what else you got?
That is all that I have for you for feedback today, Bongani.
All right, Baphelile Sambo in the hot seat.
This is EWN.
Top cop Fanny Masimula makes a return to Parliament's ad hoc committee, and the UK says it'll continue with its support for Ukraine. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. National Police Commissioner Fanny Masimula returns to Parliament today to give his closing testimony and respond to evidence presented so far before the ad hoc committee. Masimula testified in October last year, where he gave evidence on how he was opposed to suspended Police Minister Senzo Mkunu's directive to disband the Political Killings Task Team. Masimula also faced questions about evidence by witnesses like suspended Deputy National Commissioner Shadrack Sibia, who told MPs that he was merely following Masimula's order when he implemented Mkunu's instruction. Babalo Ndenza reports.
Fanny Masimula is the ad hoc committee's penultimate witness before the hearings wrap up tomorrow with KZN top cop Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi's evidence. Masimula will respond to evidence presented by witnesses like Shadrack Sibia, who said he was complicit in the PKTT's disbandment and implemented Mkunu's directive. Retired Deputy National Commissioner Francina Vuma also testified last week that Masimula and former Minister Bheki Cele allegedly plotted to force her out of the police service. Committee Chairperson Sobet Lechanyana yesterday confirmed Masimula's return.
And who is the witness coming tomorrow? The witness is General Fanny Masimula.
Masimula previously testified that cartels have attempted to infiltrate and seize control of the police and the justice cluster, but was adamant that the police was not in a crisis. Babalo Ndenza, Eyewitness News.
The South African Police Service has raised the alarm over skilled officers leaving the force to join the private sector or even engage in criminality. The most recent case study is of former police officer Mathiphandile Sotheni, who allegedly shot and killed Marius van der Merwe, who was a key witness at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Sotheni allegedly shot van der Merwe, who testified as witness D outside his home in Brakpan in December. He made his first appearance in the Brakpan Magistrates Court yesterday. Alfara Mushwana was there.
Police have described Mathiphandile Sotheni, who allegedly shot and killed witness D, as a very dangerous man, given the fact that he was part of the special task force. The task force is the most elite unit within the South African Police Service, with its officers highly trained to neutralize threats with extreme accuracy. Sotheni was a marksman in the unit, meaning he was specifically trained and highly skilled in precision shooting using snipers and rifles. Police spokesperson Athlenda Mate says it's unfortunate that such a highly skilled former officer is now allegedly involved in criminal activity.
For us to train one member of the Special Task Force, it costs us more than R1 million each member. So it tells you they're highly trained. He's a sharpshooter. So that in itself makes him quite lethal. He's quite dangerous.
Sotheni will return to court for a formal bail application on Wednesday next week. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News in Brakpan.
Former President Thabo Mbeki's lawyers have told the High Court in Johannesburg that Justice Sisi Khampepe has failed to outline her recommendations on the prosecution of cases referred by the TRC while she was Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions. Khampepe was in the position from September 1998 to December 1999. Mbeki and former President Jacob Zuma are seeking Khampepe's removal as chair of the commission probing apartheid-era cases. They argue her failure to disclose the full extent of her role at the NPA at the time creates a reasonable apprehension of bias. Dimakatso Leshuro reports.
President Thabo Mbeki's lawyer, Advocate Ngwako Maineche, argued that the central issue in the recusal application is not speculation about bias, but concerns about non-disclosure and in some cases what he termed half-disclosures. Maineche says while Khampepe's rulings during her time at the TRC are publicly available, her activities inside the NPA, including whether she advised her superior while serving as second in command on the TRC cases, are not part of public record, adding that Judge Khampepe previously denied amnesty to 37 ANC leaders and now one of them is expected to testify before her.
Even today, it doesn't take the court into her confidence, didn't take her colleagues on the commission into her confidence about what precisely she was doing in the NPA related to TRC cases in 98 and 99.
The hearing continues today. Dimakatsa Leshoro, Eyewitness News.
And the UK will welcome Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky today as Britain continues to show its support for Kyiv in the conflict with Russia. Today's visit comes hours after Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced that he would be meeting the Ukrainian leader soon. The support from European allies continues as the US has partly rolled back sanctions against Russia to cool oil prices amid soaring prices because of the Middle East war. British's Defence Secretary John Haley has told Parliament that more aid has been sent to Ukraine.
So I can confirm today that over the last month we have delivered to Ukraine 3,500 drones, 18,000 artillery rounds and 3 million rounds of small ammunition. We face two conflicts on two continents, supported by an axis of aggression with similar tactics and similar technologies.
Gold is trading at $5,029.91 an ounce. The rand is at 16.71 to the dollar, 22.21 to the pound, 19.19 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $102.78 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the M2 West leaving Germiston. This is just as you approach Silver Street, an accident reported there. There's also queuing traffic along the N3 North, in fact, bumper-to-bumper traffic there between the Elands Turnoff and Van Buren Road.
And in your sport, big pressure for Mamelodi Sundowns tonight. A win over Galant will put them 2 points clear at the top of the Premiership table. Manchester City, Chelsea and Sporting have to overturn 3 goals if they hope to stay in the Champions League. The Proteas men have sent New Zealand into bat the second T20. Earlier, the Proteas women beat New Zealand by 18 runs in the second T20 to level the series.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with scattered showers and thunder showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 25 and 26 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. National Police Commissioner Fani Masimula returns to Parliament today to give his closing testimony and respond to evidence presented so far before the ad hoc committee.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
7 minutes after 8 o'clock, what's gone viral? Kabazela wants to know, how do you spend your Sundays? What's a typical Sunday for you? And is Sunday really that day of rest? because so many of us have social commitments on a Saturday, weddings, birthdays, all the things, the dinner parties, going to events. Is Sunday your day of recuperation? Are there rules of what you don't do on a Sunday? No consumption of alcohol on a Sunday, for example. Is that one of your rules? Or do you still push your luck in terms of what you might do on a Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening? My ritual is making that cup of coffee first thing in the morning and then going to get my paper. I feel like I'm a real, I don't know.
Like Tony Soprano.
Mr. Sambod, in my gown and slippers.
Yeah.
Go get the paper.
And you start reading the front page in your garden.
No,
as you walk
quite.
over to okay.
No, not
all right. It
I
sounds like it was
take it.
there.
No, I take it a lot more seriously than that. But yeah, it's one of my rituals on a Sunday morning, and I love the fact that I no longer have to go buy the paper, and I've got access to it digitally, but I still want it in my hands. What's your Sunday ritual? Let us know.
For the last 22 years, I've been a Sunday Times subscriber. My Sunday program, go to church, come back home, have a cup of tea, sit in the garden and read my Sunday Times. That is my Sunday. It's Joe in Edinburgh.
Good morning, Bongani and team. Nati here from Four Ways. So on a typical Sunday, when we do go to church, because we don't go every Sunday, there's something that makes me feel very adulty about that after church errand run, where we're either buying groceries for the week and I'm in my church gear. It just makes me feel like, this is a bit too serious for my liking. Yeah, so that's what a typical Sunday is for me. And then we head home and enjoy a nice Sunday meal.
Good morning, Bongani and the team. It's Nandi here. No, opete kukubali topi. Those are topi vibes. For me, Sundays, I just chill and I'll have my cup of coffee in the morning and chill and do nothing. Thank you.
I'm 4011. I'm okay with being a topi. Hey, it comes with being 4011.
What is itopi?
An old man, a timer, groot man, topi. I'm okay.
This is the first time I hear you say
I'm
this.
4011.
Okay.
I mean, the real trick, Mateo, is to not look it.
Okay.
No.
See there.
No.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
You heard in Eyewitness News, European powers or leaders rejecting Donald Trump's call to help open the Straits of, how do I say it again, Mateo? Hormuz. No? Hormuz. They're saying, nope, this is not our war, not our monkey. We're not coming to this fight. Donald Trump, of course, expressing frustration with the Europeans, especially the United Kingdom, over the response to join the U.S.-Israel war on Iran.
We don't need anybody. We're the strongest nation in the world. We have the strongest military by far in the world. We don't need them. But it's interesting. I'm almost doing it in some cases, not because we need them, but because I want to find out how they react. Because I've been saying for years that if we ever did need them, they won't be there. Not all of them, but they won't be there. I was very surprised with the United Kingdom, because the United Kingdom, 2 weeks ago, I said, why don't you send some ships over? And he really didn't want to do it. I said, you don't want to do it. We've been with you. You're our oldest ally. And we spend a lot of money on, NATO and all of these things to protect you. I mean, we're protecting them. We're working with them on Ukraine. Ukraine's thousands of miles away, separated by a vast ocean. We don't have to do that, but we did it. Well, Biden did it. I mean, I have to be honest with you. Biden got taken to the cleaners. But we worked with them in Ukraine. We don't need to work with them in Ukraine. And then they tell us that we have a mine ship around and they don't want to do it. I think it's terrible.
Yeah, Donald Trump. One of the controversies, of course, coming out of the States is they've been having conversations about the midterm elections and the balance of the House in terms of the number of Republicans and number of Democrats. There's a particular congressman who I understand has an illness and is not expected to return to Congress. But of course, his illness, as you might expect, has not been disclosed. What is clear is that this guy's not going to run again, and so that seat may be up for contestation. Not Donald Trump revealing that this man has a terminal illness and that he'll be dead by June. As bluntly as that, Muteo. And yet this man continues to be able to run the most powerful military in the world.
You're with Bongani Bingwa on 702.
Taking your calls on 011-883-0702.
12 after 8, of course, we also spoke to SAPS. Investigations suggesting that an elite sniper or gunman is the one who shot witness D at the Madlanga Commission. A professional hit, and of course now one of their own has been arrested and charged with the murder. Godfrey in Santon, you want to respond to these special ops guys who get fantastic training and then leave the service.
How are you, Bongani?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm very well, Godfrey.
I'm all right. Bongani, we are sitting with a very serious trouble, and you are right. In my view, anyone who gets a training that turns them into a weapon, they should not get a contract that they can get out of. And also, the government needs to understand that you cannot turn a human being into a weapon and then you underpay them. They have to be paid in such a way that they can't get out of the employment. Look at the US. US is the country that can only employ hackers because they understand if a hacker is on the street, they are more dangerous than when they are employed by the government to protect the government up against the hackers. So what we need is to find a policy that can be able to say, with the training that you get, the contract here it is, you are no longer declared as a human being but a weapon, so that if anything happens with you, you can be charged. On the flip side of it is good because SAPS managed to track that a person who can perfect a shot like this is one of us.
Yep.
So it makes life easy to say, here is what we are giving you. It's a skill that you are no longer like any other civilian. You can't be like Bongani. You can't be like Clement Manyatela. You are way beyond that. So here's the thing. You've got the license to kill. Therefore, you can't go out there and use this thing up against us.
Right. We can't train you to be a licensed, well, at least somebody with a license to kill, and then let you walk around being a gun for hire. I think many will agree with Godfrey there in Santon. Temba, you're in Boksburg. What do you want to say?
Hi, just want to say, remember the story of the Blood Brothers, News 24, where Sebastian Groenewald did the same thing. Highly trained policeman, that gunman by hire as well, in the tobacco industry.
And that's where it raises all sorts of questions, right? Because if there are guns for hire, which industries are hiring them, to do what, and accountable to whom?
Yes, I mean that was all over the news a couple of years ago where the gunman was for hire.
Yep. Temba from Boksburg, we've seen this movie before, essentially, is the point he is making. And it's a real concern. But are you on any level, given everything we've heard since July last year from Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi? We'd all like to think we were listening from March when he went to Parliament, right? But okay, let's not blow ourselves beyond that. Since you heard from him last year, having heard the litany of accusations against the police and law enforcement, corruption, and all kinds of allegations, are you at least encouraged on some level that this man, having been murdered in the way that he was, the police were able to figure out who might have done it, allegedly? Is that at least a slight kind of thumbs up inyana? Muteo?
Encouraged, but also crossing my fingers that everything that we've heard from the commission to the ad hoc committee will end up with a lot of these people being rounded up, being arrested, prosecuted, and, having a solution to the problem. Because now we all know there is an issue, there's a problem, but what are we going to do about it?
And this idea that if you do the crime, you will do the time.
Yo, Bongani, your interviews. Anyway, I think the police need to consider the fact of having to sign contracts with specialized people when they're training them, because it costs the taxpayer quite a lot for these people to be trained. So make them sign a contract that should we train you in this, it's on voluntary basis, and you're not allowed to work in the private sector for what we trained you for. And yeah, so you can't use the skill anywhere else but here. So this should happen similarly to what happens with scholarship recipients of the government. We signed that we can work overseas for a number of years. So this should be the same with this issue.
Good morning, Bongs. I think it's a good thing that they caught this guy so quick. I mean, for this particular matter, because I believe that he's got more than 20 murders, this guy, under his belt. But how do people like Ket Matlala and your KT Mulifa get hold of this guys? You know, and that's where the likes of your Shibiris and your Sibias come in, because they know who they train in their system and they sell them to these guys.
Bongani, who hired this guy to kill Witness D? Who made that phone call to this gentleman and tell him, listen, we want you to kill Witness D? Who hired him?
Good morning, Bongani and 702 lenders. Here's an opportunity for the SAPS to create extra employment. Why don't we have a division that puts everybody that leaves public service for the private sector on a watch list, so that we know what they're up to, because we've trained these people. Obviously, you can't stop people from moving into the private sector, but what we can do is put them on a watch list.
Yeah, but surely they have rights. I think we've got to be careful there. I think when it comes to something this specialized, perhaps you might have a point, but I wouldn't make it a blanket rule for anybody who's in the public service who leaves for the private sector. You'll remember, of course, Marius van Merwe, who is Witness D, had explosive testimony and evidence at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry implicating a number of top cops, including the MPD's Julius Mkhwanazi. Do you remember him? And it was all to do, as you heard from Brigadier Mate a little earlier on, to do with the murder and disposal of the body of that poor fellow Mbenze, whose body was found ditched in a dam. And that's why I said clearly the net is closing in. And it makes such a good point, one of those voice notes, because I wouldn't know, where would you find this guy? Right? I mean, even on Instagram, yeah, you and I can go there, but I wouldn't, you just DM him?
You're not going to DM a guy
Right?
like that. Come on.
And say, hey, I need a sniper for hire. Right? He's all over Instagram. But I wouldn't know. Would you even believe that he does or can do what he claims to do on social media? It's one of those accounts that it looks so outlandish, you roll your eyes at it.
I think you'd have to have someone within the service to vouch for this person.
Unless somebody up there
tell you about the expertise.
Here's your guy, Mateo. Hire this guy. Nick, you're in Sandton.
Good day, Bongani. How are you doing?
I'm very well, Nick. Go ahead.
Good. Yeah, so I've just been listening to your show, and it's been very intriguing and that, because I'm quite passionate about firearms and all of that.
Yeah.
So I just clear up some of the misconceptions that I've been hearing and that. So one of your things is, why would someone want a sniper as a personal bodyguard?
Yeah.
It's not about being a sniper. It's about that full training, from being able to defend yourself and defend your client in close combat training, being proficient in firearm training, all of that sort of stuff. So it's not about having someone that is able to shoot someone at a kilometer away. It's being able to close combat and be proficient in self-defense and defense of your client.
So you're saying that these guys have multiple skills. The fact that they can shoot
100%.
At a target from a distance is just one of the things they can do.
Yeah. So it's like having a doctor. You can have a normal GP, or you can have a trauma surgeon. You want that trauma surgeon that has that wide variety of skills.
Right.
I
suppose,
okay.
just hold on, Nick. I suppose the focus on his abilities as a marksman was exactly what the police were telling us, and how it applies, of course, to the allegations he's facing right now, that Marius van der Merwe was shot at from some distance. And so that's perhaps why the focus was on his abilities as a sniper. But I take your point.
Yeah, 100%. But even on that, so I'm a hunter, and I go to the range and all of that sort of thing. And it's very easy to become not an expert, but very proficient in hitting a target out at 300 meters, hitting a 4-inch plate, which is about 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters.
Sure.
So there's leagues and that, precision leagues, RPS leagues and all of that, where guys are able to hit those sort of plates out at a kilometer. So with today's technology and all of that, it will take me a month to train you up to hit that plate at a kilometer.
Don't be overconfident, Nick.
No, but I'm serious.
No, I hear you.
And even,
I hear you.
And even where there was that other, where they took out the investigators on the bike, being able to shoot a target at 10 meters, so through a headrest and all of that, again, if you become proficient, if you do the training, and there's lots of individuals that, for self-defense, myself, I do training once a month to make sure that in the event I ever have to defend myself, I'm able to do that proficiently and in a safe manner. So, now hijacking and all of that sort of stuff, that I'd be able to defend myself and my family without putting the public at risk, without knowing where I'm going to be able to shoot and all of that sort of stuff.
We all need a friend like Nick, hey? Appreciate your call there, Nick, calling us up from Sandton. These are specialized skills, and these guys have a plethora of them. It's not just the ability to shoot at a distance or being a marksman. Do you ever listen to some realities and think, gosh, my life is boring, hey?
EWN.
Catch up with the roads now. The CWN traffic brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142. And you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Delays all over the M1. Amo?
That's correct, Bongani. A stop and go from the Boysons Road Afram to Car Street. And then if you continue making your way towards Sandton, heavier traffic volumes between the Kilani Bains and Grayston Drive. Do remember that at Grayston Drive, especially if you're traveling on the M1 South, traffic lights are out of order right at the Grayston and the M1 South point. So please be on the lookout there and be patient. If you're traveling on the N3 North, roadworks are causing delays right near Van Buren Road. Delays from the Airlines interchange. I'll have more updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car full of groceries and a lady who will be attempting to make her mother-in-law's famous recipe for the family dinner tonight.
5 mils of sugar.
The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's butterflies and a potential bonding moment. Every story is different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
702, The World View.
With Adam Gilchrist.
Let's catch up with news from elsewhere in the world. We once had a coalition of the willing, Adam, but now the allies are saying no, 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 to quote Amy Winehouse.
Yes, so far, nobody is leaping on board with Donald Trump's war, apart from Israel, that is. One by one, allies are, if not actually saying no, then they're sort of backing away and fudging it and saying, well, we could offer you some drones, or maybe we could offer a bit of backup for this, or you can use an air base. But actually sending ships to patrol the Strait of Hormuz is an extremely dangerous thing, and France, Germany, the UK, and others are not about to do it. But Donald Trump's spat now with the UK is particularly interesting because he really is upset that the UK has not leapt into bed in the way that perhaps Britain did with the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. And when Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, said, I need to go and consult my cabinet, Donald Trump didn't seem to understand that notion of collective responsibility in a cabinet you might want to ask, and some people who have some specialist roles and might want to sort of advise on a few things. It's just do it. So he's a shoot from the hip kind of guy, isn't he, Donald Trump? So on we go with the war, seemingly without any kind of pan-global coalition that's going to sort it out. But the knock-on effects already, I guess you're seeing it at the petrol pumps. I'm seeing it at the petrol pumps. Bangladesh has brought forward Ramadan holidays to try to conserve energy. The Philippines and Vietnam, urging people, in some cases mandating people to work from home. I quite like Thailand's, which is urging people to swap suits for short-sleeved T-shirts so that they don't have to have the air conditioning turned up quite so much. Or maybe we could all go Sri Lankan tomorrow, because Sri Lanka has now declared every Wednesday will be a national holiday to save energy. I think I could do that.
Oh, I think lots of people in this country and everywhere else around the world would be happy with that one. Sticking with this war, Adam, the other big question, of course, is where is Iran's new supreme leader?
He's issuing statements, isn't he? Some of these bloodthirsty, blood-curdling statements without actually appearing personally. And so, admittedly, this is rampant speculation. There's absolutely no proof one way or the other. But it is alleged that Mojtaba Khamenei was very nearly killed in a US airstrike, and that rather a lot of his family were his wife, mother, father, and son, and that he was badly injured, according to reports, and there are loads out there on the internet. He was then squirreled away on a Russian military aircraft and taken off to Russia for surgery, and is now in a Russian hospital. Depends who you read on this, various reports on whether he had a fractured foot or some minor lacerations to his face, or needed life-saving leg surgery, or lost a leg, or is in a coma. Take your pick from all of that. But I guess the point is that he's rather an important player in all of this, and we just don't know.
And Adam, finally, what label might dissuade you or persuade you to buy a product in the future?
Yeah, AI free. Would that be a thing? I only personally do one at the moment, which is, when you scroll down reviews and the first thing that comes up is an AI collated review. And I always scroll through that because I'm thinking, no, I want to see an actual human being review. Apparently, this is really taking off. Organizations worldwide want a universally recognized label for human products and human services as a backlash against artificial intelligence. So obviously in things like films, books, websites, marketing, there are all sorts of labels now, like proudly human, which is just weird, human made, no AI, AI free. Would any of those catch on as a kind of global trademark? I mean, I suppose the Fair Trade logo took a while to take off, and eventually it really has taken off, and we all kind of know where we are with it. So would one of these build trust, clarification, and confidence, as they suggest, or do we need it? How much do we care about AI being now a part of everyday life would be the other question. I think when it comes to films, I always think, I don't mind a bit of AI and CGI with all the effects and, let's have a dinosaur that looks like a dinosaur. But if it comes to the actors, if it comes to the script, I kind of want it to be human beings. But maybe that's just me.
And that worldview, Proudly Human by Adam Gilchrist.
EWN Business.
All right, household budgets to get tighter. Eskom is going to lift electricity prices, even though NERSA tells us, Muteo Haripe, that was the bare minimum.
The bare minimum hurts, Bongani. Keeping the lights on will cost you just a little bit more next month. The country's energy supplier, Eskom, says it will implement electricity hikes. Energy regulator NERSA has granted elevated electricity tariffs, averaging around 9% for the financial year 2027. The regulator has also approved an average electricity price increase of 8.8% for customers supplied directly by Eskom. The hike is way above inflation, which sits at 3.5%. Eskom says the tariff increase supports its ability to provide stable and reliable electricity. But, of course, the higher cost of power will add additional pressure on the country's households and also strain some businesses.
More students, says a private education group.
Yeah, private higher education group Stadio says revenue increased from 1.6 billion to 1.8 billion rand, up 14% for the year ended in December. Student numbers in semester 1 increased from 47,000 to 51,000, up 9%, while semester 2 saw a 7% increase in students. Earnings before deductions increased from 458 million to 553 million. Stadio runs institutions like AFDA and Mill Park Education.
Your indicators?
Well, the rand is trying to claw back some gains against the US dollar, but it's proven a heavy feat this morning. 16 Rand 75, down 0.5% against the US dollar. 19 Rand 22 against the euro. And you'll need 22 Rand 24 cents to get a British pound. Price of gold, $5,009 an ounce, while platinum is up 2% at $2,129 an ounce. Brent crude up 3.5% now at $104 a barrel. That's your morning business. Stephen Grotes with more this afternoon.
Straight to the news desk we go, after which, of course, in this next hour, we are going to be speaking to the one and only Nduduzo Makhathini. In the meantime, Sfisa Zulu, what you got?
Thanks, Bongani. Good morning. Parliament's ad hoc committee investigating allegations of corruption in the criminal justice system has rejected a request from convicted murderer and rapist Thabo Bester to make a submission before the inquiry. Bester wanted to testify about issues that he's raised during the inquiry or been raised during the inquiry regarding himself and the Correctional Services Department. But committee members unanimously rejected his request during yesterday's meeting to deal with housekeeping matters. Committee chairperson Soviet Lekhanyane says Bester is not in a position to testify before the committee and complain about how he has been treated.
Mr. Bester is a convicted criminal who escaped from prison in this country and even skipped the country by the reports that we have heard. And when he appeared before court, he raised the same matters of how he was arrested and extradited to the country.
A trend among young people known as chuffing has prompted Joburg EMS to approach schools offering to educate pupils about the dangers of this practice. Chuffing is the hazardous act of inhaling the contents of fire extinguishers. Joburg EMS raised the alarm after learners were seen on video chuffing. Spokesperson Robert Mulauzi has warned that the carbon dioxide from the extinguishers can cause serious health complications including pneumonia, seizures and even death.
We have got a public education unit which comes in very much handy to educate our residents about life and fire safety educational programs. So we are inviting our communities out there to invite our public education unit so that our officials can come into our schools to educate school learners about life and fire safety educational programs.
Police say they have not received any tangible information to warrant further arrests related to the disappearance of little Jocelyn Smith in the Western Cape. Patriotic Alliance leader Gayton McKenzie claims to have new evidence related to the matter. McKenzie made the allegations while speaking at the launch of the Jocelyn Smith Foundation, saying a former accused turned state witness in the case, Laurentia Lombard, is now willing to provide new information. Jocelyn's mother, Kelly Smith, and the co-accused, Jacqueline Polis and Stefano van Rijn were sentenced last year to life imprisonment for the child's disappearance 2 years ago. Carlo Peterson reports.
Patriotic Alliance leader and Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture Gayton McKenzie alleges state witness Laurentia Lombard's boyfriend Ayanda Letoni is the real mastermind behind the child's kidnapping. McKenzie says a private investigator has also uncovered new developments, including evidence found during a recent raid at a residence allegedly linked to Letoni. PA spokesperson Steve Motale.
We have had to be very careful about collecting irrefutable further evidence to tie up this case.
Police say the investigation remains open, but there's no tangible information to warrant more arrests or prosecution. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
And a U.S. judge has dealt a blow to the Trump administration by blocking the government from implementing major vaccine policy changes made by Health Chief Robert F. Kennedy Jr. The court in Massachusetts abruptly halted key components of the overhaul that vaccine skeptic Kennedy has rolled out over the past year. Under Kennedy, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services has announced sweeping changes to the pediatric vaccine schedule, cutting the number of shots universally recommended, including for flu. Several leading medical groups sued over the policy changes, arguing that the shifts were arbitrary. A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng, with showers expected today. Temperatures will peak at highs between 25 and 26.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the R21 North, right as we approach Olifantsfontein Road. Please be on the lookout there. Roadworks are causing these delays. There's also queuing traffic on the N1 South between the Braakfontein Interchange and Olifantsfontein Road.
The top story this hour, Parliament's ad hoc committee investigating allegations of corruption in the criminal justice system has rejected a request from Thabo Bester to make submissions before the inquiry.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
Why hitmen like this alleged accused in Witness D's murder, who we now know was a former special task team member who was highly trained. He was a marksman and now is taking jobs allegedly to carry out hits by who knows who in order to silence them before the commission. We have allowed this to become so entrenched where weapons are available and there's no accountability, which is why it keeps on happening, and we have this rise in targeted assassinations in country. There are so many problems here.
The Midday Report
With Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
What's with the camouflage, Dorf? I'm going hunting. Just me, nature, and my most underrated off-roader, a rental car. Hunting? You could fit that little car in your backpack, Dorf. I sit in the driver's seat. Baggage at the back, chairs on the roof. The kudu is going to get in and strap its own seatbelt, Savvy. Could do with more legroom, Dorf. Go hunt for a new 4x4 at We Buy Cars. They got great deals. Oh, shot, Savvy.
Don't be Dorf, be savvy. We Buy Cars, geared for that big trip, geared for you.
Bar Black Sheep. Have you any wool? Yes, sir. More than 3 bags full. We think beyond today, tomorrow, more. Look up, look far ahead. We may choose to leave the herd. There's greener grass where fewer care to tread. Bar Black Sheep. Proof of what we do. Better for clients for over 20 years. Courage, we hold the course for you. Bar Black Sheep. If you want more wool, it takes black sheep thinking. Camissa Asset Management. Invest different. Camissa Asset Management is a licensed FSP.
Zakes owns an electrical business that lit up the neighborhood. Literally. One small spark, one big legal nightmare. But he has public liability insurance from Budget. The damage was covered and his clients sorted. Sharp. To get public liability cover, visit budgetinsurance.co.za. Budget Insurance, official insurer for good South Africans. Budget is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Good morning, Bongs and the team. Man, this NESA methodology is killing us. I understand that there's no load shedding anymore, but we cannot bear the high cost of running ESCOM anymore. I know they also reviewing this methodology. I think it's outdated, Bongs. NIEM and South Africans needs to push back now.
Good morning, Bongani. With regards to the prices of fuel and food and everything going up, all attributed to this war, I'm asking myself if our government is planning any relief for the people, any type of relief in these difficult times that are coming. Shivers in box.
Good morning, Bongs. Good morning, listeners. I think the issue around whether prices will increase is pretty much a given now. The oil prices have been higher for a whole month. Exchange rates have not been in our favor for pretty much a whole month as well. And even if it does turn around, hopefully it does, it's going to take some time before it goes back to the previous levels. So we should be expecting an increase in the fuel price and all else because it follows before it actually subsides. So it's not a question of whether it will go higher. It's a matter of how long it would stay high. Thank you.
Yeah, and of course, you can see the knock-on effect in terms of inflation, in terms of interest rates. The cost of everything is certainly going to go up. Electricity very high on that list. A little earlier on, we spoke to NERSA, who told us they've got a process and a methodology they follow to allow Eskom the tariffs they give them. I think it's 8.6%. You and I are going to be paying more from the 1st of April for our electricity. It's particularly, of course, hard to swallow when you consider how many communities around the country do not pay for using electricity. So that's something that's a bit of a bother. And if you want to talk about relief because of the high cost of everything that we are soon going to endure, relief from which money? I would ask, right? How many people already relieving the social relief of distress grant and have been for a few years now, even though we may not necessarily call it that going forward? That's still in play. From which money?
Good morning, Topi Bongani. Yeah, 4011. Hi, Mansuka. So my Sunday, I can't even tell you. Oh my gosh.
Guys, Bongs carries his 4011 so nicely. It's so nicely. He just needs to wear socks. John from Randburg.
EWN Sport.
They're called secret socks. So, Cindy, we were talking from Kabazela's video about what your typical Sunday looks like. And I explained that I feel like I'm such an adult now because I subscribe to the newspapers. So I get the electronic version and I get the actual physical paper delivered to my house every Sunday. So on a Sunday morning, with a cup of coffee, steaming in the kitchen, in my gown and slippers, and my curlers maybe, who knows? No, I don't have long. My hair's not that long. I go get the paper. Being on somebody's paper route. You know how you were, as a kid, you'd watch American series and movies and you would see the teenagers having a paper route? So now I'm on someone's paper route. And I know here in South Africa it's not something that kids do. I know, before you send me voice notes. So I feel like a proper person. And so one of the voice notes suggested I'm just an old topi.
No. So it's so funny that you say that because one of my friends sent me a reel on Instagram this morning that said, I hate when people ask what I did on the weekend, like I'm out here skydiving or something. I'm almost 50. I went to the grocery store. I did laundry. I ate too many snacks. At one point, I stood in the kitchen eating shredded cheese straight out of the bag like a raccoon, then sat down for a minute and accidentally took a 2-hour nap. So yes, pretty big weekend, still recovering.
Yes, that's what we do. Because I said, I'm 4011. Of course I'm a topi. I'm a proud topi at 4011.
And then your kids will say,
Right?
oh, but don't, what? You're so boring. You're so boring. I was like, guys, I did all the stuff that I needed to do in my 20s. I'm okay. I'm okay.
Tell you what, it's going to be a whole lot of fun for Sundowns fans.
Tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think this is a maybe.
You'd actually never know because this is sports. So what Bongani is talking about is Mamelodi Sundowns are playing Maruma Galan tonight. And if they win, they will go top of the table, 2 points ahead of Pirates. But if they draw, they'll go level with Pirates on goal difference, right? And if they lose, then they stay 1 point behind Pirates. So, but they lost in the Champions League last week, Friday. They've had a very up and down season. Fans aren't blown away by the coach, even though they are second on the table. I mean, like, what more do you want from a coach? But who knows what tomorrow morning will bring?
I think they win.
I'm going for a 1-1 draw. I'm going for a 1-1 draw. Let's chat tomorrow. In the Champions League, Manchester City take on Real Madrid tonight, but City boss Pep Guardiola gave his players a day off yesterday. Real Madrid have a 3-0 lead going into the game. Bernardo Silva on the team decision not to train.
We've done it in the past plenty of times. When we lost games, when we won games, when the manager felt that it was the best for the team. And with all the trips that we had this week, I think if he just thought that it would be best for us to sleep better, to stay at home one more day, to free a bit our minds and come back stronger and ready for the game.
I think that's such a great decision. They're not going to go into that game because obviously with, 3 goals to make up, it looks like it's in Madrid's favor. So that pressure, there's no need to place them under pressure and anxiety. Just like take a chill.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Well, the only game tonight level on aggregates, Arsenal's game with Bayer Leverkusen. PSG expected to have Mbappe back from injury there, taking a 3-goal advantage over Chelsea. Bodo Glimt 3 up over Sporting. South African coach Rulani Mokoena resigned from MC Alger and took up a job in Libya with Al Ittihad Tripoli, but was arrested by police at the airport, found guilty of attempting to take undeclared foreign currency out of Algeria. He was given a 2-month suspended prison sentence. Premier League last night, Wolves twice came from a goal down to draw with Brentford 2-2. Live cricket on the go. The Proteas men winning the toss. They sent New Zealand into bat in the second T20. A win for South Africa will seal the series. New Zealand are cruising 55 for 1 after 7 overs. Earlier, the Proteas women beat New Zealand by 18 runs in the second T20. The Proteas women, rather, won the second T20 by 18 runs. They leveled the series. Kaka took 4 for 27. Malaba took 3 wickets, while the Proteas women posted 177 for 5. Great knocks from Brits. She made 53. Wolfart unbeaten on 41, and Les made 31. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
12 minutes 13, in fact, before 9. This EWN traffic brought to you by South African Airways. Get all-inclusive fares, so your seat, your meal, your baggage, it's all in. Book at flysaa.com. Amo?
Well, Bongani, we've got delays on the N1 South heading towards Fourways. An accident reported right near Winnie Mandela Drive. Delays coming out of Rivonia Road while traveling towards the city of Tshwane. Do expect delays on the R21 North. There's bumper-to-bumper traffic there approaching Olifantsfontein Road. That's due to roadworks. And we still have got queuing traffic on the N1 South between the Brakfontein Interchange and Olifantsfontein Road. Peak time delays there. There's also peak time pressure along the M1 North between the Harton Drive exit and Grayston Drive. Please be on the lookout. More updates at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
Without insurance, saving on your car insurance feels like arriving at the school reunion in your dream car. 32-year-old Parushka saves a whopping 729 Rand on her 2020 Haval H2. Get a quote now, and if insurance can't save you money, ask for 500 Rand or 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free with the same insurer for 3 years. Get savings or cash. Without insurance, you always get something out. So that's out to 45142. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Let's be honest, Africa could be doing way better, but complaining won't change anything. Getting involved will. If you care about Africa's future and want to be part of something that disrupts the status quo, then this is for you. Download the Our Platform app, which focuses on problem solving, global competitiveness, and self-love. Africa is changing the narrative. Don't get left behind. Download Our Platform. Say hello to the new look Africa.
The family lunch, the big egg hunt. Nobody wants to be the one arriving late for the Easter festivities. That's why we at FlySafair make it our mission to get you to those special moments right when they count. And with affordable flights to 15 amazing destinations, there's really no excuse not to go. Hop to flysafair.co.za today and lock in those Easter flights early, because every bunny needs a break. FlySafair, for the love of flying.
Coming up
on the Clement Manyatela Show
on 702.
Clement Manyatela, of course, is between 9 and 12 on your radio. Good morning, Clement. What's on the show today?
Good morning. Today we are live from the Sandton Convention Center. This is where the 14th edition of the Buy Local Summit and Expo is taking place. I want to ask the listeners this morning how intentional they are about buying local. I want us to also touch on what is coming out of the Trump administration. He seems to be calling on his American allies, like NATO allies, to help send warships to escort tankers so that they can help reopen that Strait of Hormuz. But this is the same man who believed in unilateralism. So what's up now with him calling on the very same people he has said before he doesn't need? So that's on the open line. At 10 o'clock, we're going to be in conversation with the Gautrain CEO, Tshepo Khobe. As you may be aware, the Gautrain is entering a new chapter. As of the 28th of this month, it's going to be owned by the provincial government of Gauteng. So what does that mean for commuters, for ticket prices, and the future expansion of the rail network across Gauteng? At 11 o'clock, we do our World of Work feature. Today, we're discussing why managers are quietly checking out. And then we wrap up the show at 11:30 with our health and wellness feature. Today, we're discussing hearing health in adults.
Oh, that's a very timely conversation, especially for you and I, Clement, on our shows, right? Hearing can be a thing. We sit with these earphones and headphones. Hearing health.
Yeah. I have an advantage, Bongani, because I still have a couple of more years with my strong ears. I don't know about others.
What did you say?
I said I have an advantage because I still have a couple of years to go. Oh, you can't hear me, right? I understand.
Huh?
KG, start the clock.
Clement, between 9 and 12.
Let's see if he'll hear that.
The team's on a roll today. Let me focus on payroll. Duty calls in the kitchen. That's why I have a business insurer that is agile and on the ball all the time on all things. I chose My Way Business Insurance, getting 24/7 emergency service and saving on my premiums, plus my business assist to handle my admin.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Hi, this is Carol Shabalala, Hollywood Bet's brand ambassador. It's more fun when it's for fun. Playing responsibly is always a winning strategy. If you or someone you know needs help, call the South African Responsible Gambling toll-free counseling line on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop.
Gauteng is currently experiencing high water consumption. To avoid water interruptions, residents are urged to use water sparingly to allow equitable supply. Act now, save water. Every drop counts. This message is brought to you by the Department of Water and Sanitation, Rand Water, Gauteng Provincial Government, City of Johannesburg, City of Tshwane, and City of Ekurhuleni.
On Wednesday, the 18th of March, 7:02 afternoons with Relebohile Mabotja will host a 2-hour maths class, dedicating this time to something that affects the future of the country. Reports show that more than 400 public schools in South Africa have stopped offering pure maths, and that raises some serious questions. What are the numbers? It's a conversation that won't just identify the problem, but will find solutions, bringing together experts and voices from the classroom to unpack South Africa's maths crisis. If you're a parent, a teacher, or a learner, we want to hear from you. That's Masterclass on 7:02 afternoons with Relebohile Mabotja from 1 to 3 p.m. on 7:02.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 7:02.
Let's walk the talk.
Omagugu with, of course, Duduzo Makatini there, Mama. That's the kind of music you can expect this Human Rights Day, the 21st of March. Bromfontein will come alive with the transcendent sounds of internationally acclaimed pianist and composer. This is going to happen at the Jozi Gold Brewing Company. A master of jazz, African spirituality, even Nguni mythology. Makatini creates music that stirs the soul, awakens the senses. It's just one of those you have to hear live. He joins us now on the line, Dr. Nduduzo Makatini. pleasure to have you on our show, sir.
Greetings to you.
This music is just so deeply spiritual, so deeply moving. As I said in my introduction, it stirs the soul.
Oh, thank you so much. It's an honor to hear that, and thank you for having me.
Human Rights Day is an important day on our calendar. I know that sometimes as South Africans we just think it's another public holiday and we're relieved to not go to work. But this is an important day that marks a really poignant moment in our history. What do you plan to do with your show and this amazing music you have gifted us over the years? What do you plan to do on that specific day?
Right, so I've been invited to a new venue. This is the opening of that venue, and I recall many years ago when the venue used to be called the Orbit. I also did the opening for that. So things are coming full circle, but also I'm just, thinking about the implication of human rights, of course, and what that means against like a backdrop of systems and leadership and an entire world that seems to be always just a few seconds from falling apart. And what does it mean to think about human rights in these moments? In 94 in South Africa, there was of course, a different kind of view of such a notion. And of course, we started to think of it in a kind of post-colonial frame of thought. And like now we kind of challenge to go back to that and think about what does it really mean to be free against systems that are greedy and continue to take from the very humans they meant to be supporting. So it's quite it's charged with a lot of different meanings. It's not a simplistic thing to think about human rights just in the world. Of course in South Africa as well.
And it's so important that you mention the Orbit, because it was one of those jazz venues that one assumed would always be there, right? And it's important to make sure that we support these kinds of shows, these kinds of events, to make sure that we keep these venues operating and to obviously keep hearing this music.
Right. I think when we think about jazz venues, we're not just thinking about spaces, but we're thinking about, places for discourse and the ways in which like a venue contributes towards, the ways we think about culture, the ways we think about being in the world, particularly if a space deals with jazz, which is a music that is very explicit about not ignoring what goes on around it, So when we think of what happens when those doors closes, then, something suffocates within our cultural lens, So for this venue to open, I think it gives us an opportunity again to return to these conversations, to return to study and think about music as a kind of text, as something that tries to say something as opposed to maybe entertainment, which is sometimes uncritical and a term that we use very loosely.
I'm thinking of the name of that jazz channel, Bet on Jazz. It's really time to bet on jazz. This Human Rights Day, it's happening at the Josie Gold Brewing Company, where the old Orbit used to be, 81 De Korte Street in Bromfontein. It's an evening show. Doors will open at 6:30 in the evening. You can get your tickets at Quicket. And, of course, it's going to be a night of just amazing, amazing jazz. Dr. Nduduzo Makhathini, the headliner there. If you were sad to see the Orbit go, don't let the same fate befall the Josie Gold Brewing Company.
702 podcasts are on 702.co.za.
Time now for the latest eyewitness news. The Clement Manyatela Show starts now.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Police Sergeant Fanny Nkosi is expected at the Matlanga Commission today following his explosive testimony. Nkosi yesterday downplayed sharing the arrest warrant of Musa Kaula with controversial businessman Vusmuzi Ketmatlala, saying police needed help to close in on the entertainment blogger. In 2024, Kaula made a number of posts about Matlala on social media and another controversial businessman, Zeng Ngumalo, and the ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula. Tabiso Koba reports.
Businessman